do, Diane?
Not a whole lot of anything.
We've been dealing with it. We had a big fight. One of the folks said something, and then they said we'll bring guns on Wednesday. This kind of thing. We had to get them.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's like.
And that's what we always do is engage.
If you're one off.
I mean, we've been dealing with that all day.
You know, mine did on my iPad, but it was times out.
Yeah.
Building and social media.
And
mine always goes to the
We know you always bring.
Mine always goes to
We played pretty good against Lafayette. They beat us, but I think we might have a shot at it. Yeah. It was 21-21 at halftime. I think we're pretty decent.
All right, it's ready. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regular October meeting of the Clark County Board of Education. I'd like to welcome everyone who is here at our meeting. I'd like to have everyone stand and observe a moment of silence. Now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item of business is adoption of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions, changes, or subtractions to the agenda? If not, a motion is in order to approve the agenda as written.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Parado,
I'll second that motion.
second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is, what's the plural for minutes? Judy would know this.
Minutes.
Minutes, okay. A gaggle of minutes. Let's see, from the September 7th, 2016 special tax hearing, September 7th, 2016 special meeting, September 19th, 2016 special meeting, September 20th regular meeting, September 27th working budget meeting, and October 3rd special meeting. I think all of those are present at all of those meetings, so if there's any, does anyone have any changes, additions, or subtractions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve all of those in one motion.
I move that we approve the minutes for September 7th, 2016 special tax hearing, the special meeting on September 7th, 2016, the special meeting on September 19th, 2016, the regular meeting on September 20, 2016, the working budget meeting on September 27, 2016, and the special meeting on October 3rd, 2016.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Doesn't include work session minutes from 8-9, 8-26, 9-8, and 10-12. I agreed to provide those for the work sessions that I was at, so I'll bring that back at the next meeting. I think I took enough notes that I can flush something out in general. So, okay, next up is student and staff recognition. Mr. Christie.
We have one staff recognition tonight. And I'm going to go through one here. It's for Miss Candy Murphy. She's a 7th grade teacher at Campbell Junior High. We'd like to say congratulations to her. The Kentucky Department of Education and Valvoline has selected, this is going to seem a little odd at this first because when this was submitted we were at a different point in this process than we are now, and I'll add to this in a second. But the Department of Education and Valvoline have selected 24 outstanding Kentucky educators as recipient of the 2017 Valvoline Teacher Achievement Awards. One of the final 24 teachers is Robert D. Campbell's very own Candy Murphy. She is one of 8 middle school teachers selected for this honor in the state of Kentucky. Ms. Murphy has been teaching for over 18 years. She has her master's degree in school counseling and is currently working on her PhD. She is a 7th grade ELA teacher at RDC. She's also a wing leader at Campbell. So we couldn't be more proud of her. Now, that's the first part. I want to add to that. Since this was submitted to the board, we're now at a selection state to where Ms. Murphy is one of the 3 finalists for the Middle School Teacher of the Year. And so tomorrow, Mr. Howard and Ms. Murphy and myself will be going to the Capitol where the governor, Governor Bevin, Hal Heiner, the Education Workforce Secretary, Dr. Pruitt, the Commissioner of Education, and Sam Mitchell, who is the CEO of Valvoline, will announce the elementary, middle school, and high school Teacher of the Year. And from those 3, one of those 3 will be selected as the Kentucky Teacher of the Year. So we wish Ms. Murphy the best of luck. You know, we want to wish her good luck at that tomorrow. But regardless of the outcome of that, we're proud to have her in our school district and working with our kids on a daily basis. Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah. And that's all the recognition. So,
Public comments? All right, Doris Kenny on item number 12. Welcome.
Hello. Good evening. To our board chair, Dr. Kudak, our superintendent, Mr. Paul Crispy, I am coming before you tonight to discuss item 12. As you know, I have been attending several board meetings. I have been here a long time, old, and through several superintendents. But at this time, I want to, first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Over the last 4 years, we have seen Clark County steadily progress from being a proficient district to a distinguished district. And all this occurred throughout the time where we were closing schools, putting teachers together, moving students, but yet we rose to the occasion. Clark County needs to be competitive with all this, like all the other surrounding counties, as far as pay. I've heard this said, and I don't know who has said this, that we should not think of ourselves as a minimum district, but yet we continue to pay minimum wage. I'm also here on behalf of the classified as well, because I guess I was chosen because I've been here the longest, and I do attend the board meetings. So I am asking you all to no longer put a committee together to look at this, no longer put it on hold. I'm asking that you all consider to just give us a raise. I know that we work hard, and I do want to thank Ms. Whiteside. I want to thank Ms. Considine, my girl, Ms. Bush, Mr. Wilson, and Ms. Hicks, because you all have been in our schools, and you all know how hard we work. And each year we're asked to do more and more and more for the same pay. I'm in the school system because I love kids. Do I want a raise? Yes. Do we want a raise? Yes. Do we deserve a raise? Yes. And I'm also standing here to say that it is the responsibility of our board to go out and look to see what we are doing. And it is also your responsibility to show us that you appreciate what we have done. I've been here when we made goals, we didn't make goals, we were close to goals, we made it. And I look outside this building when I came in tonight, the signs are there. So I'm asking you all to not put another group together to decide on what we get. I'm not asking you to put it off. I'm asking you all to decide on it tonight. Now, I will not be here tonight when you decide, because I do have to go back to the hospital because my dad is there. But I'm thinking that I am being fair and asking on behalf of our staff. Not only our staff, all the teachers deserve it. But I am here as a classified for the classified. And I thank you all for hearing me tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. All right. Next up is Superintendent's Report. State and District Updates, Mr. Christie.
Got a few things to go over here quickly. On October 5th through the 7th, the district school psychologists attended the CAPS, the Kentucky Association for Psychology in the Schools conference. While present, they attended many sessions on current and related topics such as comprehensive school mental health and behavior science services, effective trauma, informed practices in school, and many more. This information will be shared by these folks with their schools to assist in meeting the needs of their students and staff. On November 17th, Brian Newton and Danielle Lilly are hosting a transition resource fair from 2 to 5 p.m. The fair will have multiple vendors representing colleges, support services, vocational training, supported employment, and options for housing for our students with disabilities as they, along with their families, look to plan for life after GRC. The Clark County Migrant Education Program held a parent involvement meeting on Thursday, October the 13th in Campbell Junior High School with the goal of helping parents to become more involved in their students' education. They taught parents how to use the Infinite Campus portal. They can now access their children's grades and stay informed of their academic process. They also made some educational crafts with all the parents and the kids while they were there too. As of October the 12th, the Clark County preschool enrollment is at 299. And students that are being served within a week's time, the expectation is with the others that are about to become enrolled, that'll go to over 302 enrollment in the preschool.
Mr. Christie, what was our expectation there when we started school?
We've exceeded where we thought we
That's
were
what I
going to be.
thought.
I've already added a teacher and an assistant there to
Gotcha.
pick up
Okay.
some of the over enrollment that we've had. On October the 18th, as a matter of fact, we opened an additional classroom. And now they're saying that we fully expect that we'll have over 300, at least 305 for the December 1 child count, which is up from, what was last, I don't have last year's number. Do you remember what it was last year? So up substantially on the child count for December. On November the 7th, we had our administrative team meeting here at the central office, and we invited all of the partners of education to come in to be recognized for their work with each of the schools, and they received a banner to take back to their workplace as a token of our appreciation for all their efforts that they to help the students here in our. I said, I'm sorry, it was October 7th. We've had it already. It was October 7th. Sorry. We've got a couple of events coming up. Well, it's on November the 9th. It's a community event. We struggle a lot here in the district, and we always, it seems like in the schools, we're dealing with, and as a community, we're dealing with drug issues. So one of the programs that we have from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, we have State Trooper Robert Purdy coming in to talk about drugs. This is I've seen this program. Of course, he updates it. It's very informational. We're inviting all the parents and students, all K through 6th grades, and the parents to come in with them. And this is kind of geared toward the elementary age kids and how to deal with these kinds of things. This is going to take place at the high school in the auditorium at Cardinal Theater. And what we're doing at the schools, because we know that transportation could be a problem for a lot of folks. So what we're doing is, if they can get to their home school, we're going to have buses there, and we're going to transport those folks from their elementary schools, home elementary schools, to the high school, and then we'll transport them back to their home schools. So that's from 6 till 7. From 7 till 8, we have it's actually Officer Scott Harvey, but in this particular case, because he prefers to be called Mr. Scott Harvey because he's doing it as outside of the police department. But his topic is going to be social media. And I've also been through this, and we experienced that. Now, this is a program for parents and students of 7th through 12th graders. He says he would rather keep it 7th grade students and up, but all parents below that are welcome to come. But this is a very sensitive topic, and this guy brings it and brings apart the realities of what social media can do to kids and to families and things, and to the adults even. So he would prefer that at this particular program, there not be any kids below the 7th grade just because of the content, but he's not going to ask them to leave if they show up, so that's going to be a parental thing. But again, we'll transport folks out there in case they don't have it. These are two very good programs. We're doing everything that we can do to try to make it as convenient as possible to get as many people as we possibly can in there to see these two events. I think that's all I have.
Any announcements on new personnel?
Yes, we have a new principal at, I sent that out, that's a week old, that's kind of old news now. We have a new principal, Miss Julie Bonfield is at Concrete Elementary School. She's been with us for a couple of years she's in her second year, was in her second year as assistant principal at Strode Station. And she's already been there now close to a week, and things are going good, and it's a smooth transition, and we look forward to a lot of really positive things from Concrete continue.
Congratulations.
And we are now we have now opened up the search for an assistant principal for Strode Station.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is under Student Learning and Instructional Services. Item number 4 is overview of District K-Prep and EOC results. Ms. Bush.
Thank you.
Since the upload a couple of weeks ago, there's been a change in a couple pages. So I sent it to you by email, and then I also made you a hard copy. And we also desegregated the data a little farther. We drilled down into each grade level, and you have that PowerPoint as well. Do you have any questions? Anything you'd like me to elaborate on?
Oh, I would probably say let's start by giving us a fairly high-level overview, and then we'll delve into questions and comments.
Okay. In our configuration, of course, Clark County is K through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the high school. But with our test scores, 5th grade is still into the elementary scores, and our 6th grade is into the middle school scores. So when you look at those, that's the difference that you see, even though we're configured a different way. On page 8, if you want to see from 2015 to 2016, you can see the elementary, middle, and high. And it is in reading, math, science, social studies, writing, and language mechanics. For the science
What is
scores,
the heading on page 8? Mine doesn't have page numbers.
Right here.
at the very
You're in
bottom.
the wrong other day.
Oh. Thank you.
Remember that right now, our science scores are either your biology in your EOC or in your alternate assessment scores for scoring purposes right now. With our classifications this year, I'm sure you're aware that we are a distinguished district. We had a proficient elementary school. We had a distinguished elementary, a school of distinction elementary. Baker Intermediate is distinguished, and then our high school is a second-year school of distinction. And our other 2 schools did grow quite a bit, so that is a positive that we need to consider in their overall score. Another highlight would be for our middle and high school. You can see that we have grown in reading, math, social studies, writing, and language mechanics in both areas and all subjects. With our elementary, you can see that we have grown in writing. We have a little bit of work to do in reading. We went up slightly in math, and we need to still look at language mechanics.
Is there talk about reading in the elementary school? Is the Lexi, is the program that we're,
Well, Journeys would be our core
okay?
that we should be using in class, and then a supplementary would be your Lexia.
Okay.
And since you all have taken care of that, it is no longer a barrier, and everyone is looking at that for elementary and fifth grade.
So that's going to be the strategy that we're going to use, correct?
For your supplementary,
Yes. Okay.
How are we doing with writing? That distinguished doesn't look really great on elementary. How are we addressing writing?
are you looking at,
Achievement
Page
performance
9.
level percentages by content for elementary, page 9.
for your 8.6 for distinguished, your 31? Is that where you're looking?
Yes.
Okay. Last year, we hired Danielle Ward as a consultant with a stipend, and she went to most of the schools and looked at our district writing plan, and we're still at that level of getting that all together. I think that you probably need to ask the principals when you see them on November 1st about what they're doing individually at the school level with writing. I think
So
they are.
district-wide, we still don't have a program. Is that correct?
Would that be fair to say, Ms. Constance?
It's embedded in journeys.
Yes.
We have made some progress. I mean, I'm looking at page 8, which is, I guess that's the high-level view of everything. So, yeah, I think we made some significant progress in writing from last year and definitely from 2012 when this grading rubric started. So.
On our writing scores from last year was 28.4, went up to 39.6. Middle school was 30.7 and went up to 42.2. And then our high school was 48 and went up to 50.7. If you take a look, of course, at the graduation rate, which we've, I think, talked about before when Mr. Boland was up here, you'll see that our is 95.4 for our district, with the state 89.7. So we are way surpassed that. In college.
What page are you on? I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
17.
On page 14. The new pages that have been added to your packet are 13, 14, and 15. That is your novice reduction piece. That is new for this year. That is the difference from your email 2 weeks ago to the hard copy that you have in front of you. The graduation rate that I just mentioned is on page 17. On page 18, if you look at college and career readiness, you'll see that we, without bonus, was 88.5. The state is 68.5 with bonus. We are at 100, and they are at 81.8. Are there any particular areas that you would like to look at? If you, we can go to page 26 and look at GRC's ACT. I think that Mr. Boland has mentioned that once before. But what you haven't seen are your EOCs, and they are in here as well.
I guess my first question would be is, what are the reasons for the district's success this year?
Well, I think with
And anybody
math,
out there can chime in. This is.
I think with math, and if anybody wants to chime in, with math, it does take 3 or 4 years for a program to get well adjusted, and all the parties and the stakeholders, in the teaching mode of that. And you can see that math scores have increased tremendously in all levels. And I think that Journeys will fall into place as well. You know, this is our first full year and now we're into it. So, you know, with a new reading program.
Third year of math. First time she's big games in math. Third year. Math is a district-wide program.
What's our plan, Ms. Bush, for addressing the gap at all levels? What's our district plan for
Well, for instance, in November, Title I received some extra funds. This was in 2015. And we divided that out equally. It was around 10, 11,000 to each school. And they were asked to do something in type of a reading, whether it be an interventionist that they hired, stipends, or however they chose to address reading in the novice students. This year, I know Ms. Considine is getting ready to talk about district map scores, but I would assume you would need to ask them individually. But that is also, we've already taken it once, and we have the data, and that would be intervention classes for those novice or GAP students based on the scores that were in the map testing of early September.
Is this at all levels?
Everybody does it a little differently. The elementary, and maybe Mr. Josh Mounts, you can tell me about 5th grade and 6th grade, but the interventionists are hired with Title I monies. I know that Mr. Boland has a lot in place for his freshmen. And then any benchmarks that aren't made for his ACTs. But at a school level, they would know more. Is there anything that I need to add to that?
Are we doing anything with our ESS money with that level?
That would be Ms. Considine.
We are.
We have daytime waivers and then, of course, ESS after school.
We'll probably also do some ESS, we'll have a small ESS program this summer.
I'm sorry, this is running behind us.
We'll also have an ESS probably again this summer like we did last year at one of the schools, to host all the schools at one location like we did last year.
Is that at Shear?
It was at Shear last year, yes.
Program last year.
Yeah,
This,
it was Shear.
the second graders that were going into 3rd grade, yes ma'am.
What sort of support are we providing for the two schools that haven't met proficiency?
Well, with the curriculum and instruction team, you know, Ms. Considine with her Title I and Title II money have hired 3 facilitators. And we also go there monthly to do walkthroughs.
But the facilitators serve all schools, don't they?
We have one for the 4 elementary, we have one for Baker and Campbell, and then one is at the high school. So our whole curriculum and instruction team is 7-ish. Ms. Whiteside, myself, Ms. Considine, and our 3 interventionists, and then our facilitators, and then Ms. Debbie Carter.
Okay. So what are they doing at the 2 schools that have not yet met proficiency?
I know that, just speaking for Ms. Ward and Campbell, she goes in and models for teachers' lessons. She's also a coach. She attends their PLCs.
Those become focus schools, just like we had some focus schools this time. We know those will be 2 focus schools. Looking at the schedules, principals are working more closely with scheduling RTI interventions, working at readjusting the schedules to work with students there. Of course, that's happening at all of them, but there's a kind of a renewed focus in these. Just the supports of bringing the principals back in and working with principals here at the district office with any kind of supports that now with any one-on-one, what will you need, what can we do to help?
During our monthly walkthroughs, we leave feedback with the principals, and the principals address those with the staff. Ms. Considine also has monthly, last Tuesdays of every month, 9:30 to 11:30, we have instructional team meetings. And then that same last Tuesday of every month, we have grade level meetings for elementary and related arts teachers. And we rotate from school to school.
The other thing I want to ask too, real quick, I want to go back to the reading with the elementary. I know we're doing the Lexi, I know we're doing the other thing in the classroom.
Journeys.
Journeys. So is that a pull-out thing, or is that I'm pretty sure it's an assessment looking at each individual kid, but is it more individualized, or is that a broader base type of thing?
Are you talking about with Lexia?
No, I know what Lexi is, that's, because I've got one doing that, but in the school day, the journeys.
The Journeys is your core class for reading.
And is it a program, or is it a?
Yes.
It's a
what is it?
program, yes.
Okay.
It's just like the Envisions with math. That's what we purchased for our core reading basal.
And is there any pull-out done with any kid that's maybe not meeting that need with Journey?
We do have interventions.
Okay.
That's part of the
Okay. Okay.
Rearrange the schedules where somebody working with individual groups, and those groups vary from time to time, so if they move up, then somebody else moves in, and they continue to.
Are they pull-out groups?
For the intervention.
And where are they pulled from?
Well, we do not pull from your core content, whole group teaching.
Get the
Yeah.
whole group.
What are they pulled from?
It would either be from a small group area, or it may possibly be from a related arts. It depends on the school and how they have RTI set up.
We have it embedded in our, at Stroh's, RTI is embedded in our master schedule. And so it doesn't affect their core or their related arts time.
Okay.
And does that help?
What do the kids who are not in RTI doing?
They go to stallion time, which is an enrichment time.
Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Did that answer your question? Tom?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, for that kid, the journey, you got the journey helping kind of the general class, and you got the helping the individual kid, but I want to make sure we're doing some individual stuff during the day, and it sounds like you are with the RTI and stuff like that, but that's what I'm looking for. Because not every kid's going to take hope of that.
You comment on program reviews. We did pretty well there this time.
We're having meetings once a month.
Okay.
Now, of course, when everything is official with KDE, I'll be able to bring back exactly the way it's going to be officially scored and looked at, but that's not going to be official until the end of this month when the Board of Education in Frankfurt meets. I think every school had their own committees back at their school level, and it was more of a school-wide discussion instead of just the related arts taking care of everything. A social studies teacher talks about culture all the time. It was more of a school-wide program than just the arts teachers. I think that does make a difference if everybody's responsible.
And my last question is, this is the last year for the scoring rubric. What kinds of changes do you see coming down the pike, and how are things going to be different next year? And how are you preparing for it?
Are we talking about for program review or in
No,
the
I'm
whole
talking
testing?
about review. This is all going to be redone to be compliant with PSSA.
Well, at the end of November, according to the commissioner, we're supposed to find out what he will take as his official, whether it's going to be ESA, which is just the math and the reading, we comply with federal government, or if it's going to be a dashboard approach is the word that he's using. So right now, we're just waiting for him to give the final say on what it's going to look like before he takes it to the board. And just today, we heard that's going to happen at the end of November. So to get prepared for it, just keep on doing what we're doing until we know anything different. We have changed a few things with program review because we've all been to his sessions, and they're going to concentrate on 2 areas a year. This year is arts and humanities and practical living. The rubric that we have in front of us is needs improvement, meets, or exceeds. It's fairly simple. You either are or you are not meeting it. There's no, what do you think we are, or do you think we're not on the rubric, and you're kind of bantering back and forth. Science, we need to really delve into teaching science. We know what they're going to be, and looking, because, when that test comes around, we need to be prepared for it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So the answer to that is we'll know more after the end of November.
we'll be glad to come back then with whatever he decides that's going to look like.
They've had some committees that's been meeting on this for 2 or 3 months. It's kind of, not been a lot that's been released. So everybody's kind of anxious to see what's coming out.
All right.
Is there anything else?
Any other questions, Ms. Bush? Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next up is item number 5, second month attendance update, Mr. Holland.
Take a look at month 2 attendance. As we take a look at it. Month 2, congratulations to Strode Station. Kind of a Strode Station kind of month here. Congratulations to them, 96.45. Had 2 schools for the month reach over 96, Conkright as well. For the district, we finished 95.01% for the district in month 2, giving us from August 17th to October 5th, 95.33 to start our first 2 months off.
Next month won't be as good, I can tell you that right now. Next month won't be as good, I can tell you that right now.
I'm fearing that as well.
Did you check, Mr. Holland, on how they calculate the overall percentage?
Sure. Say that again.
Last month I asked when the percentages didn't work, and I thought I understood you to say you were going to check to see how they calculated.
I'm sorry, I don't
Okay,
remember the
when you
question.
calculate the, can you back up to the other screen, please? The monthly attendance in the second column, and we have the 95.01. Do they not count Phoenix?
Phoenix is calculated in that, yes.
Okay, then it's not 95% with a 76% in there.
Number of students also has a factors into it. So you're going to have a higher percentage of students at GRC, which helps to
Okay,
balance
that's
that
what
out.
I thought you were going to send, was how that calculation is.
Oh, I'm
done.
sorry, I didn't realize that you wanted that sent.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Yeah, so that's how that they do that calculation. That's a state-generated one. So when you do that, based on the number of students, and it's that overall average daily membership, which factors with that average daily attendance of those schools minus ATC and preschool, and that's how we get our average daily attendance.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, can you send me that?
Yeah, sure,
Just when you get a
absolutely. I'll
chance.
make
Thank
that.
you.
Mhm. Take a look at the comparison. Actually, is there a way to go back to that one? I don't know if it's on the bottom of that. Should be another comparison potentially. There's a one below that? I don't know.
It's at the very bottom, it's the very last item.
We also uploaded a comparison between month 2 last year versus month 2 this year. You can see the percentages, well, not up here, but you should be able to access, and if not, I can send you through email, the percentages from last year to this year. Last year's second month percentage was 94.84%. This year's percentage, of course, is 95.01, so an increase of 0.17%. And then, late addition to the game, we have, that was sent through today, we have our staff attendance, and if you take a look at that right there, it was so late I didn't even get a chance to print out a copy for myself, but I know that Shear Elementary, congratulations, they work hard on their attendance. Congratulations, Shear Elementary won for month 2 on the staff attendance.
Any questions, Mr. Hall? Thank you. All right, next up is item number 6, overview of fall map day, and Ms. Considine.
Good evening. I'm working on student achievement reports back there, Mr. Kendrick, because he's new, so we're kind of,
Okay.
it's November 1st, so
Yes.
anyhow. And it's going to look different this year, so be prepared. Be prepared, right, guys? All right. Also, this looks a little different. I'm kind of changing it up. I just, got to always be doing something a little different. So instead of bringing you proficiency with MAP, because what is the purpose of MAP? It is a universal screener. It's to track our kids that are actually behind instead of predicting how they're going to score based on proficiency and distinguish. So we are going to track the number or the percentage of students that are scoring at novice. So that's what you're seeing tonight. And we will use this information. This is the information that they collect to determine RTI, those intervention groups that students are going in and out for reading and math. And what we want to do is we want to see this number decrease. We don't want to see it increase like we do proficiency. So we want to see it go down. We see we have some work here. It looks like, and I'm going to go out on a limb, that our math program is meeting the needs of our students. I would like to see our newly adopted reading program, Journeys, be utilized fully for those RTI groups. I know that with math, we do have interventions built into Envisions, and I would like for us to really focus on reading this year. We focused on math the last couple of years, so we really are going to have to get in there with those RTI groups.
Wow, tell
yes,
us
Ms.
about
Hicks.
5th grade.
Wow, isn't that impressive?
That is pretty impressive.
It is. And I think that those students will have had 3 years of Envisions. Okay. So it is a building, it is that building block. And if we stick with our programs, and I'm a huge program person, I think that they provide the resources for our teachers. We have fabulous teachers that can teach the content with a 1952 math book. But we also have teachers that need some guidance. So if that's what Journeys and Envisions and CMP3 should do for our staff, they should provide that support for them. So I think Envisions is working. And the first year that we adopted Envisions, we did have a mandate. And we said, you will use it with fidelity. We did not do that last year with Journeys.
Why did we not?
Well, because we felt like that it was a very, very comprehensive program. I mean, it includes grammar and spelling and writing and then
All of those
all
wonderful
those
things kids
yes.
need.
And so how do we mandate that you use all of those pieces? So what we left it up to the staff at each building, and we're doing grade level meetings, and so they are going back. We spent all of last year in our grade level meetings unpacking and working with Journeys. So now we're just kind of going back. But it's still a topic at grade level meetings for K through 4.
But within each school, all the grade levels at each school are doing the same thing. Is that correct? If I'm a 4th grade teacher,
They're planning together,
Okay.
yes, district-wide.
okay.
Because that's what we really felt like for the first time with the Visions, we were getting everybody on the same page. And so same with Journeys. But it is a big, big program. And we got it kind of late. And so we did have a large learning curve. And I know the administrators are out there, they're pushing it. We're seeing it being utilized. But it is a great support for those first-year teachers, second-year teachers that need that. If you've been in the classroom 25 years, you can use it as more of a resource. And that's kind of our approach with Journeys. If you would like, if it would please the board, next month I could come back and I could break fall map down, because I know you kind of want to see proficiency.
Yeah.
But we could also have it in those gap bands of apprentice, proficient, and distinguished. Would you like that?
Yes, yes.
But we're really focusing on novice reduction. Because in the end, I think we know that that is going to be our commissioners. If you read his blog,
Oh,
20 years we've been working on the achievement gap, and we really haven't done anything with it. So it is going to be his focus, and I want us as a district to keep that focus so that we know that we've got to reduce those numbers. Any questions?
But yes, that's fine. That's a good idea to bring that back.
Okay.
subsequent meetings, so.
Yeah. Oh, and I do want to share with you, we are not going to do the midpoint winter map. Because we are going, I think what's happened in the past is that students and teachers, when we give winter map, they panic because they are working towards a goal. And if they don't meet that midpoint, then children get very frustrated. And we're only going to use the winter map for students that are in Tier 2 and Tier 3 to be assessed during that time right before Christmas. We are not going to assess everybody. If you are distinguished, we're not going to have you do the winter map. It will be available for the students as another data point that are in Tier 2 and Tier 3. But if you're a Tier 1 student and you're making progress, sometimes the loss of content and teaching and instruction right before Christmas is valuable. And then we sometimes have red flags with kids that I just had a bad day, but now my math has dropped a point and I'm having a panic attack. We don't want to have that. So
How
we're
about
going
Tier 1
to.
and not progressing? Would you still use it in certain circumstances?
Yes, because the math window will be open.
Okay.
So it will be available. K will be taking it for the first time right before Christmas, but 1st through 8 will have access for that 3-week window to test their children and to get another data point.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you. All right. Next up under Student Support Services, item 7, interim assessment of community eligibility program. Ms. Bush.
Very, very proud of this program. This summer, we spent 6 days in the district. We entitled it Operation Registration. We registered 2,929 students in those 6 days. We are, as of October the 10th, we are missing 144 green sheets, as we call them. And I brought, in case you all would want to see what our students and families are filling out. Our goal was 90%. As of October the 10th, we are 95, and we are still going to get a hold of those 144 and be 100%. And there is a thank you that goes out to the entire curriculum instruction department, the DPP department, and all the school and administrative staff. This was a huge undertaking, and everybody helped and get this done. The CEP program is one barrier that we can control, and I do appreciate you all voting that into our district for our little bitties. Breakfast and lunch is free to all from preschool all the way to 6th grade, as you know. Now, this is the first time I presented this to you, so if you don't like this format, please let me know, Dr. Kudek, how you want this every month. And I can even put it on a consent or come before you however you'd like it. And I can just add in the blanks. The bottom was just a suggestion, if you all want to see it by month per school. Not sure if that's the way you want it or not.
What are the asterisks for?
In August of last year, there were 14 days of school. You'll see right underneath that first table.
Yes.
Only 11 this year. And then in September, both days had 21 days at the time that this was done.
So September's the first month that you really have it's an equal apples to apples
Right.
comparison.
In general, the more meals we serve, the issue here is that we know if we don't have enough students enrolled in this,
Right.
the program can be
Right.
short-funded, and we'll have to make that up at the general funds. That was the
Yes,
reason
sir.
for bringing this here. So, but the more meals that are served, the more
more
financially
reimbursement.
feasible the
Yes,
program
sir.
is.
And it was a new adjustment, not only for staff, but parents, and then do the parents go home and tell the little bitties. And as you can tell, we have gone up. And my goal is hopefully every month when this comes back to you, we'll see those numbers increase where everybody, it's just a natural part of their day, and they eat breakfast and lunch, and that's one thing they don't have to worry about.
All right, any other questions to Ms. Bush? So if these numbers continue to increase, this program will be financially sustainable.
Becky Lowry and her department actually does the financial piece of it, and I'll be glad to find out and let you all know. I can even email you as soon as she's back from her conference. and tell you what we are money-wise at this particular time, but that's her department.
Remember, our goal was to start out and go through the sixth, and we kind of took on the fifth and sixth grade, which we didn't originally plan on doing, but it's worked. I mean, you can look, and when you break it down to schools, you can see the additional meals that's been served there that weren't being served in the past. There's more kids eating, so our next step was to hope to get to a point where we could take on seventh and eighth grade and do this. Would be the next step
Yep.
in the process.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bush.
Is this format?
Do you want to put this on the consent agenda for the next couple of months? And I think it needs to be looked at monthly, I would say, for the rest of the year, because we need to kind of keep a close eye on this and make sure that it's working the way it should, so.
Yes, I think it needs to be put on,
Okay.
just to be looked at.
Is the
In
format
to the 10.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
format is great. I like the format.
consent? Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is on number 8, first quarter financial review, Ms. Ellis.
All right, I'll have to blow that up so everybody can see it.
I was gonna say, you like small numbers. You
Yeah.
have young eyes.
All right, we'll start with the quarter expenses. In the top right here, I've broken it out 2 different ways. You're looking at the top chart there is by department. So instructional student support, instructional staff support, district admin, school admin, business support, plant operations and maintenance, student transportation, and debt service. And you can see that the way I've laid it out is you've got, this is July, August, and September. So first quarter for this year, and then the previous 2 years, and then an average of those 3 years. And then in between is a percentage increase from, you'll see the green is 15, and then the column between is a percentage increase or decrease to the 16, and then also percentage increase, decrease from 16 to 17. And then the chart right below that is broken out by category of spending: salaries, benefits, professional and tech services, property, supplies. Any questions regarding those charts?
Alicia, this is fantastic. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to see.
Yeah, you were
This
asking
is-
for previous
This was
year
more than
comparison,
what
so I
I
was
could
hoping
ever
that would.
imagined right there. So it's really fantastic, a great job with that. Just a couple of questions or observations, I
Uh-huh.
guess, on the object, 0100 salaries personnel. I mean, according to this, in this quarter right here, we spent less money than what we did last year on personnel, right?
Mhm.
Okay, should that .80 be a negative in that sense instead of a positive in that because of,
0.80.
yeah.
Oh, top chart, I'm sorry. The top chart,
It's in that second chart down,
Second chart down.
so,
the
just
student
a-
support programs. is
no,
that-
salaries, personnel services.
The
right
second
there.
chart, it's a negative 1.78.
You got it as a .80, what I was saying it should be.
Positive .80.
I think it should be a negative, because
Oh,
we
I
spent
haven't-
less money this time than what we
That's
did.
interesting. I'm
Correct.
sorry.
That's all right. I'm just
didn't give an
just wanna make
updated
s-
version there. I've
okay.
updated it on, it's
Okay.
actually a negative.
I just want to make sure I'm reading it right. and
1.78. I
whatever like
apologize for
so.
that.
Well, no,
I did
it's
not
fine.
catch
I just-
that.
It's always good when you spend less money.
Yeah.
I like that, so
That
that's not a
should be a
complaint.
negative.
I'm
I
just trying to make
apologize for
sure.
that.
On that, are we still on the first page, or are you going over the bottom two?
I
or-
am still on the first top
Okay.
2 charts.
Okay, good.
Sorry about that.
No, fine.
I updated my version, but it didn't get the updated version. Some of the formula, like sell is your friend and your enemy
Okay.
sometimes.
Okay. I'm good with it. I just want to make sure I was reading it right.
No,
okay?
you're right. That should be a negative 1.78% instead of the 0.8. I apologize for that. Any other questions on those top 2 charts regarding expenses? Okay, moving down to the bottom 2 charts, it's the same information category-wise, but I've compared it, the actual spent to the budget, so you can see at this quarter versus the previous 2 quarters that we are pretty consistent on our spending. We've been 11% each quarter as of the first quarter of the year for the last this year and the last 2 years, right at 11%. Some of the categories are up and down in between there, but the overall spending is right at 11%.
That's just one of the questions there, like
Yes.
with district administrative support, where that's at 32%, it was 22% last year. And employee benefits that were 27% now, and that was 17% last year. So those were just some red flags that shot out at me, and I don't know if there's a.
Support is your additional curriculum folks that we've hired, they're listed in that area
Okay.
that we didn't have this time last year, so that could account for some of that.
Okay.
Then you're, of course, when you have more people, your benefits are gonna be more.
But that's not a red flag for you, that doesn't really,
Not at the first quarter mark.
Okay.
I don't.
okay, thank you.
Any more questions on the expense side? All right, we'll move to the revenue side, which should be on down. Okay, so this is broken out for each category of revenue. Again, comparing the first quarter of this year to the first quarter of the previous 2 years and then the average. Any major questions there?
I was just really glad to see on the delinquent property tax, I was really worried about that because we were down to like 92% last year, I believe, when we did that. It's been compared to 97, and we've collected over 50-some thousand more than what we did last year, so that's good to see that we're recovering that. And revenues at this time looks like $323,000 more than what we did last year this quarter. That's pretty impressive, considering we didn't sell any property either. Last year we sold $127,000 worth of property, so
Right.
that's a very good sign.
And then
Seek is where it's supposed to be.
Yes.
we've gotten our 3 months worth of forecasted seek. And then the chart below this is again the comparison of your actual to our budget, and we have consistently for the first quarter over the last 3 years collected 13%. So I mean, we're pretty spot on at this quarter mark where we have been for the last 2 years in both expenses and revenues. So any questions on the revenue side?
No, just thank you very much. This is
So
fantastic.
that you like this presentation?
For myself, I
Okay. Yes,
really
it is
liked it. I thought it
Okay,
was
well,
really
we'll
great.
continue this
Yes, you'll be
format.
back here every quarter.
Every quarter, we'll be back with this
Okay.
format if that
Good.
suits you all, so.
Good, thank you.
And then the very bottom page, you had asked for a review of your budget, the board's budget, and so I pulled just, again, it's the first quarter, and it lists what your budget is and what you've expended year to date, and the categories you have spent in over to the side, I put an explanation of what those expenditures were. So is that sufficient for knowing what your budget's been spent on?
Good.
Okay.
It's really good.
Any other
Any other questions from Ms. Ellis? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next up is item number 9, consider approval of procedures relating to the Every Student Succeeds Act. Mr. Holland and Mr. Stump.
Good evening. The state is requiring all boards in the state of Kentucky to consider the proposed procedures that is in your packet. Basically, it's new procedures that are being required. We're being given a December 10th deadline to pass these for the protection of children that are placed by the state in foster care. It essentially requires us to establish a district personnel, designated personnel, to represent the child that's being referred from either an out-of-district placement from another county or whatever, to try to work out the details of transportation with the purpose of protecting the integrity of the child in the enrolled school. So essentially these procedures would require us to come to the table with the referring district and negotiate transportation costs and who would be responsible for those, with the intent of keeping the child that was placed in foster care in the school that they were enrolled in at the time of the placement. It also would allow us to ask the state for some reimbursement for the transportation costs, although it doesn't really detail the percentage, but we would have some some expectation to ask the state to offset those costs.
All right, questions for Mr. Hall and Mr. Stump? So there's 4 procedures which would need to be changed, and these are just procedures, so they would be passed after we vote in the affirmative on this thing. That's correct.
And those are KSBA's recommendation, unchanged. Okay.
So the district has no additions to that.
That's correct.
I'm sure there's going to be more stuff coming through from the federal law at some point, so it's a pretty big change. Okay, comments, questions for Mr. Howell or Mr. Stump? Or further discussion? If not, a motion is in order to approve revised procedures 06.32 AP.1, 09.11 AP.21, 09.12 AP.1, and 09.121 AP.1 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Pereira,
I'll second that motion.
second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Next up is item number 10, consider review and possible approval of addenda to contracts with Mountain Comprehensive Care and Bluegrass Comprehensive Care /bluegrass.org. Myself and Ms. Combs. Tia, we had some reservations about some of the contracts we had entered into with those 2 organizations, and Ms. Combs drafted that's the same thing for both, right?
It's
Or close to
identical.
it.
I guess Bluegrass had their own internal systems, and that's that first page, that's not part of it.
Right.
That's their own internal mail system. But the addendum itself is exactly the same except for the names. And so before you tonight is simply, this is simply when particular Bluegrass came, I had realized that there was a little bit of a gap between your insurance and their insurance, and this is basically what I think can be done to close it, as well as can get done. So that's what these documents are. They've been approved already by those respective organizations. So the question is whether or not the board would like to approve them. Of course, they are reducing your liability, not increasing it, so I can't see why you wouldn't, but it was a topic of discussion, so Dr. Cute, I thought we should bring it back up in public
Right. We had a fair
and not
amount
do
of
it in secret.
Right, yeah, we had a fair amount of discussion at this, at one of the previous board meetings, but requires that the organizations hold general liability, professional liability insurance. There's a hold harmless clause which was inserted, which they agreed to, and then confidentiality provisions. So yeah, I'm fine with all that, so.
And those organizations were as well.
Yes, they
Yeah,
signed those
even one of
addendums,
them
so they-
even had the slightest objection, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, a motion is in order to approve addenda to contracts with Mountain Comprehensive Care Center and Bluegrass Comprehensive Care Center /bluegrass.org as presented.
I'll make that. Go ahead, Julie.
Go ahead, Julie.
I move that we approve the addenda to the contracts with Mountain Comprehensive Care Center and Bluegrass Comprehensive Care Center and Bluegrass.org.
Motion by Ms. Hicks, second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And next up is item number 11, consider discussion and approval regarding giving back SEEK dollars. I got excited when I saw that, and I realized it was Section 6 funds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. This was at the time, and you included there on your information was, you'll see the first columns, it talks about how much was given to each school, and we normally approve that at the 90% rate. That's what the district has done. At the time that we were doing that, we were working with Dr. Bob, and it looked as though there was a deficit in the budget. So as a way to close that deficit, I withheld $20. You could withhold it down to $100 per student. They get $139.80 per student. You can hold back and only give the schools $100. We usually give the 90%, but I held the $20, which took them. You'll see there a column of how much I actually, what they were entitled to at 90%, and what I held back is the third column over, fourth column over. Fifth column over, the difference is what I withheld. At this point, I'm prepared to reinstate that. The budget supports it. I'm prepared to give that back to fully funding, back to the 90%. Now, there was some other proposals that you all did discuss about some additional monies, and I guess my question at this point would be, the only part that I can speak to at this point is what I withheld from their Section 6 money. And I'm prepared to reinstate that. And you'll see how much that is for each amount of each school. And if you want to do anything different, you would need to talk about what you want to do there.
I know that Gordy, in his proposal, when we talked about that budget stuff, he talked about the giving $10 to the arts and giving $10.
And that's on this form that you see when you look out there.
But that really wasn't a board
And that's
proposal.
labeled,
No.
I labeled it as a board proposal.
Yes, that was a suggestion.
Yeah,
I've had some
that
real
should have said,
issues with that.
But that's the only one I have from the board, so that's why I just put board.
Did you get mine yesterday?
I have it, and I have a new document that I prepared that puts your figures in on this column too, and I changed it from board proposal to Mr. Parado's proposal and Ms. Hicks' proposal.
Mine's just a suggestion,
Well,
not a proposal.
Judy,
but-
Judy, would you elaborate on your proposal?
It was somewhat similar to Mr. Parado's. I had this salary schedule amendment, and I don't know, I didn't have his in front of me.
Those copies of, coming down is the new
take
document
one.
that takes place to what you see on your.
So this has
you've got-
both?
You've got to.
Yeah, and that has both.
Okay.
And then the second document coming is the proposal, or the suggestion that you sent, a copy of exactly what you sent me. And then if anybody needs it, I ran a copy of Mr. Parado's suggestion, again, if you want to, if you don't
Yes,
have that
please.
with you. I've made another copy of it.
Well, now,
Yeah.
this sheet goes with the number 12, doesn't it? Am I thinking right?
Here, I'm holding back.
Because that's a different proposal than what we're talking about here with the SEEK dollars. We're talking, this other is the salary. This talks
Right.
about the salary.
But my
So-
my SEEK proposal is in the middle. It's on reinstatement of supplies budgets to each school or amended Section 6 funds. That's the part of my suggested list that relates to the discussion of the SEEK funds. There in the middle that says reinstatement of supplies budget to each school.
Okay.
Okay, that's,
That's what you're seeing on this other document.
right, that's what's on this other.
I just totaled it,
update.
we just totaled it.
You were
up.
talking about, Judy, yours is talking about 25 per student in P through 4, 35 per student in P 5 through 8.
Yes.
And 45 per student in 9 through 12, correct?
Right, yes.
And going to these two entities right here, which is your arts and your PE, or your arts
Well,
and your
I had,
athletics.
The $10 going to the humanities and technology,
Okay,
and 5 to extracurricular and co-curricular.
okay,
And
gotcha.
then,
That may be, that's my page.
Yeah, I think that we got
That's my
some of your
page.
original ones, yeah.
All right, started at the back.
Well, I would say the question on the table right now would be the Section 6 funds. The other
Yes,
stuff, I think,
yes,
is food for
just-
future
right.
discussion.
Yes,
So-
just that middle section is, on my sheet, is what relates to this current discussion.
And then related to this would be, like I said, my column of where to restore it back to what I withheld out. You see those totals on that column.
So are we, excuse me, are we looking at, then we're just talking about budget right here, right now, our
This is going
working
Section
budget going
6.
there, and I'm
Anything-
assuming, Ms. Hicks, I was thinking mine coming out of contingency, is that what you were thinking with yours, or yours going back into the budget?
No, it was contingency as well.
Contingency as
Yes,
well
all-
with that.
This
Yes,
comes out
my whole
of, even
list.
the money, the Section 6 money that I'm giving back, that's gonna come out of, that's where that money is right now, is in contingency. So even the amounts that I withheld, it's because it wasn't budgeted in a line item, it goes into the contingency. So that $83,000 that I withheld from their Section 6, it's in contingency right now. So the $83,000 that I'm proposing to give back would come out of contingency, in addition to anything that you all are proposing with your two
So is it,
suggestions.
can we tonight act on either one of these other proposals as well? Or is it just, or we can only talk about restoring the seat?
The item agenda says giving back seat dollars, so I'm going to limit discussion to that.
the reason I wanted to put them all on there is because I wanted you to see what each of them, the amounts were, and I didn't know if you were looking at doing one of those, or a combination of two of them, or something in
It was-
between. That's the reason.
It was a little confusing because when I got this, I thought at first, well, we're not going to address our contingency again. But then when I got this, I said, well, it looks like we are going to address our contingency again. And if we can't address our contingency again, that's a big disappointment, because here's another month that we're sitting on money that schools can't have. And that's troubling to me, when we're going over test scores, and we had some very good questions that were asked here. And when the questions were asked and answered, it was obvious that the things that needed to take care of those gaps is money. And this is where the money's at, and we're sitting on this money. And we're not giving it back to our schools.
That's the item under discussion right now, is restoring
That's
funding.
exactly, well, that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about putting our Section 6 back, which probably should have never been taken out to start with if we'd had a better idea of our budget at that time. But this came in too, and I know there's additional dollars that our schools need for some of these things.
And maybe
I'm just trying to figure out what we can act on. Can we act on this entire proposal that we have here, or we can only act on the
money,
$20 that we did not give the
the
first time?
$20, it's all coming out of the same, it's all coming out of your contingency. Every penny of the money that you're talking about in any of these three columns is coming out of contingency.
There you go, 40 years.
What's that?
You can amend the.
She just asked me what can they do as a legal matter. You can amend the agenda at any time at a regular board meeting. So if you want to amend the agenda right now to talk about something,
If you want.
that's permissible if you agree. Yes. At a regular meeting, you're not locked into the agenda like discussion.
So if you would rather do one of these
Well,
versus.
I would probably, from my point of view, just to make sure we get it straight, I would propose that let's just look at entertaining a motion, and I'm not trying to overstep my bounds, Dr. Kudak, right there, restoring the seat money,
Yes.
and then amend our agenda to address contingency and additional dollars to our school.
Okay, if we, is that a motion?
I'm still in
Okay.
discussion right now, but
Okay.
that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's the direction. I
That's
just
what I
opened
was
this up
wondering,
right
if we
here.
need to discuss before the motion or after the motion. On restore, if we're restoring, if we're just talking about restoring, are we considering the difference and restore the difference and the 10%?
That's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The difference, what I withheld from what they would normally have gotten, the column that says difference, that's how
Okay,
much
that's
I
the
withheld
withheld
from what
amount.
they would normally have gotten. So
That's the
anything,
90% approved staffing allocation, the difference now. If you're wanting to give them the 100% staffing allocation, that's the restore difference in 10%
Yeah.
column.
But normally we give 90%. Is that our
Is that a
typical?
staffing?
yeah.
all-
The staffing allocation was approved at 90% funding. That Dr. Bob presented, I'm not sure which board meeting it was presented at, but it's.
May, and-
May, okay. So when the staffing allocation was approved in May, it was approved with a 90% funding of section $6.
Okay,
Which, that difference column will put them back at that 90%. So if you're wanting to give them 100% based on staffing allocation, we would go with the restore difference in 10% column.
Which is gonna cost us $83,000, or?
No.
Not to put to
The-
90% would
the
be
difference.
83,704, to put to 100% would be the 157,17 column.
Okay, 150, what now?
The $150,717
The restore difference.
is the
Okay, yeah, I
total
see it.
to go to
Okay, I got you.
100%.
I'm with you now, okay. Okay. And that's gonna come out of the general fund, the contingency.
It's all sitting in contingency right now.
Gotcha.
A couple of things too, right here that I wanted to see here too. Where we have, school number of students, is this the average ADA? Is that what we're saying there?
That's what it was
It's
based
the
on.
projected ADA. at the-
Okay, well, what I'm saying, I'm looking here
And our
at
numbers
Justice
are-
at 399, and then my enrollments of the day of Justice are 512. I mean, they're getting shortchanged
That's
right there
membership.
quite a
No,
bit.
there's a difference in those.
Well, I know, but
ADA
still,
membership.
we're not having 113 kids absent every day, I don't believe. But that's, no, I didn't
And
think
that's what
you
we
were.
would, we'll go back at the end of the second month, which is just ending, we look at.
And I understand that with how you do ADA when we do our SEEK money and that money comes in there. The proposal that I made was actual enrollment.
Enrollment.
That's what the proposal that I made.
And
Now, I'm
mine
not
was
sure,
Mine was based on the numbers here.
you were based on that? Okay.
Yes.
But even those numbers are not correct
Right.
as of
Yes.
today's,
But that,
so,
yeah.
because I, you know.
What do you think?
But from my point of view, I think, should I make a motion first, Tia, or should I amend the agenda first?
So you want to,
What I want to do is, and just talking, what I want to do is restore them at their original funding. And
okay, is
then I
that what's on
want,
the agenda?
that's what's on the agenda, I guess,
Okay.
at that point. I mean, based on how it's set up in the agenda, not how it was proposed to us here, so. I guess I wasn't clear that we were still dealing with contingency money instead of budget money. So this is all actually coming out of contingency.
Same pot.
Okay.
So what I'm
You can do
doing
either
is,
way. If you want to do something that's already on the agenda, you can go ahead and make a motion to do that. If you want to do something that's not on the agenda, you should make a motion to amend the agenda, get the agenda amended, and then make a motion to fulfill whatever you just amended.
that's a lot of amendments.
I know, I'm sorry. If it's already on the agenda, you can go ahead and make a motion for it now. If it's not on the agenda, you have to amend the agenda first.
I mean, I don't know what other board members want to do, but I would like to go back and get back to the original SEEK funding and then look at an agenda item that addresses the contingency with either giving 10%, Ms. Hicks's proposal, my proposal, or any other proposal that the board may have.
Okay, so the 83 is what you're saying, right?
So what I'm saying, I think it's 83,000, that would,
That's-
83,704, that would, what would restore
Everybody back
all
to
schools
their
back to their original, where they were
Yes.
before we thought we were $600,000 a month.
Exactly.
That's a good starting point,
then we
perhaps.
could-
And then we can, and you could, isn't this correct
That's
also,
giving everybody back
Tia,
that
that we
20.
could amend a motion that's made rather than amending the agenda?
I think the question is the scope of the agenda item. So the agenda item basically says giving back SEEK dollars. What Mr. Parado is seeking to do is to give more to the schools out of
Right,
contingency.
right.
So I would just suggest adding an additional agenda item, I would say 12A, that basically states that. So, and I would vote on the two, you could either vote on the two items separately, or you could vote on the one item, and then there's going to be a discussion about the amount on the second item. So that's what I would consider doing.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and amend the agenda first.
Yeah,
And then have any
I can tell you right
discussion.
now, I'd like to do the first item, and then I'd like to do the second item and see what the
Okay.
cost is from there.
Right,
That's
yeah.
what I'd like to do.
I agree. To take what is recommended right here as agenda item number 11, get that out of the way.
Yes, ma'am.
Then amend and do the discussion
Okay.
of anything extra if we decide that.
I think that's fair enough.
So agenda item 11 is going to represent restoring funding from original levels. And then item 11A is going to look at additional payments
Additional, yeah.
over and above restoring original.
So do I need to make a motion for 11A as you stated there? Is that,
I'm going to word it. Let's
Okay.
see. Now, this is officially Section 6 funding, right, Tia?
What?
This is Section 6 funding. I can include that in the agenda, right? For the item.
Yes. Under which item?
The one on
So
11.
the 11A.
Not the
11A.
11A. 11A wouldn't be,
no, 11A is going to be strictly,
that's, the 11A
That's
would be.
additional.
yeah.
No.
11 would be section 6.
11 is the only SEEK funding
Okay.
that we're
The
discussing right
the
now.
wording I have for 11A, see if this is okay. Consider discussion and approval of additional funding to individual schools from contingency. Is that okay for everybody?
Yep.
I'll make that motion as written.
I'll second that motion. Mayor, Ms. Hicks, would you?
So a motion to amend the agenda to.
Right, so a motion to add 11A, so that was Mr. Peredo. Who seconded it? Judy?
Mayor, Ms. Hicks, whichever one you'll put.
Simultaneous.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, so now we have 11 and 11A. Let's discuss 11 first. I think everybody's in agreement that they would like to restore this funding to original funding before budget discussion.
I'll make that motion.
So motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Mr. Peredo. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we're looking at 11A, which is the additional funding.
And did we mention the amount of money in the motion? That always is kind of something that ought to be in the minutes.
That's true.
83,704, is that correct?
You want me to remake it and redo it?
Should we want to amend your motion, or, but I made the motion, didn't I? I can't even remember where I'm at here. Amend my motion to include the amount of $83,704.
All right. Everyone in agreement?
You second that, right?
I second the amendment.
So amended motion by Mr. Peredo, seconded amended motion by
Second.
Judy Hicks. I was going to call you Dr. Hicks. You're the doctor of Robert's rules, right? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, so that takes care of item number 11. Now we're on item 11A, which is additional funding.
So now we want to have a discussion on what we're doing.
Well,
Correct.
can I go back, before we go back to that? Because I'm afraid that some people, I mean, if we say the amount of 83,704, then we are shortchanging some of those schools based on these figures, the way this was done. Again, you know, just as at being 399 and they've got 512 there, that's not going to come out to the same amount of money this time, correct?
This is the staffing allocation that was approved though, so you can't change those student numbers. because
So you
the
can't
staffing
change that because of the way it
allocation
is.
was approved at those numbers
Okay,
for the 90%.
so we can, okay.
Make up the difference.
That's good.
So
And
if
we
you
will
want
make
to
up some of that
go with
difference on
current
the second
enrollment
month.
Okay,
now,
okay, that's good.
In the second
Okay.
month.
So these are numbers from last March from the final
Yes.
allocation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
staffing allocation can't,
Okay.
Right.
those
I
numbers are
understand
what they
that.
are.
I
But
understand.
if you want to discuss now the contingency
Okay.
on current
Okay.
enrollment, that is an article discussion.
Okay. All right, so item 11 has been passed and no further discussion on that. Everybody's good? All right, we're on 11A.
And again, you know, some of the things that I did were, as Ms. Hicks has said too, is that these are our suggestions. We came up with suggestions or whatever. And of course, I went with the $30 per student, and if somebody wants to write these figures down, they can or whatever. I've got them written down and added up, but I was looking at $30 per student, and at Concrete, that would come to $15,540. At Justice, that would come to $15,360. At Shear, that would come to $12,660. At Strode, that would come to $16,200. At Baker, that would be $24,870. At Campbell, that would be $34,040. At GRC, that would be $79,500. And if I added that up right, that would be $198,170 additional dollars. Now, if you remember on my other also, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in here while I'm on a roll. I'd also asked that we pay for the calculators at GRC, their TA Inspires at $59,433, and at RDC, their TI 84s at $63,000. That comes up to $320,603. When you look at that, you know, we look at these things, sometimes we think these are big figures, but when you're sitting on a $14 million contingency, that's about 0.25 of 1% of your contingency. I mean, it doesn't even get you to 1% of your contingency. So that's my proposal. or my suggestion, I should say, Ms. Hicks can go with hers as well.
Okay, and I've lost my yellow sticky note that I had my school individual totals
I
on.
promise I didn't steal it to try.
I know. So mine is just the total on elementary, and I guess that my yellow sticky
Yours
note is
should
in the
be.
car.
If you're based your numbers on what was on
Yes.
the sheet.
But
then
it's, oh, okay, it
they're on
is,
there.
okay.
I broke it down to
Okay.
school.
I thought that I just had, well, on my other sheet, I just had the total. Okay, but these are the ones based on the numbers that show there at, and mine were at $25 per student for preschool through 4, 35 for 5 through 8, and 45 for 9 through 12. And I had some other things as well. I did not have the calculators, but in my allocations of $10 for humanities and CTE and technology, I figured if the school so chose, that some of that $10 allocation could be used toward some of the calculators. But again, schools might not choose to do that, but I think there should be some, if we're giving additional, I believe that, we should specify, especially for the humanities, and I think the arts is what Mr. Peridot had in his. And I think technology still should be, and it probably already is a priority for the schools when their councils are allocating their supply funds or whatever. The other items that I had in the other uses for contingency was a salary schedule amendment. I don't know if it should be an amendment, an adjustment, however we can do that legally. I did it with a 2% for certified, a 3% for classified. The other one, I think, in looking at our needs list from our work session discussion, the human resources programs, the ESOP, the Veritime, and the AppleTrack at, I don't know if this number is still good, but it was $65,962 in the numbers that we had from that session, but I don't know if that's still a good number or not, but that's what I used. The Lexia, we have already approved it. I included it here because I thought when I looked at the budget summary for this month, it still had the contingency as the same that it was before. Is that correct? Even though we
Yes, I had
used.
already placed in a budget item in district-wide instruction the money for that. It never went into contingency. So I just moved it from district-wide instruction into the individual schools.
Okay, so what was the source of funding for it? For
It
the
was-
Lexia?
It was in just general fund. It was sitting in district-wide
Okay,
instruction.
okay, so that's
It
not
was a
from
line-
our
it was-
contingency, so
It was a line,
that
it was on a
doesn't.
line item.
Okay.
This other isn't. So it
Okay.
would be in
So
contingency.
take that out.
Okay, I wasn't sure where that was, I just wanted to be sure it was in there. I knew we had approved
All of
it.
the schools in
Okay.
Lexia, Apex, and Reading Plus.
Right, okay.
has been-
Okay, so all of those, so I had that. And, writing curriculum is my thing. I know I read everything on every needs list. And sadly, none of the schools had writing curriculum for a priority. However, the Curriculum and Instruction Division at Central Office did. So I went with that and put the $200,000 writing curriculum in there. And the H-wing renovation to accommodate Phoenix Academy at Campbell was an item on that needs list. Windows were not, but I didn't know if
I
those
didn't
were
get a chance.
included in facade and I don't know if it was included in that 100,000, but I'm guessing not. And I didn't know how to price those because I couldn't find it in maintenance or in Campbell, either one.
And I couldn't get the price. I was gonna try to have it tonight, but I couldn't get the pricing on it.
Right.
Down before tonight. I can get that.
And the other thing I had for contingency, and I know it's not enough to build a new preschool, but if we could do a set-aside amount until we can build up enough to get a preschool, I put a set-aside amount of $2,000 from the contingency. I'd love to see us do $6 million, but I'm I'm not going to even suggest that.
You mean $2 million?
Yeah, 2 million, not 2,000.
I mean, 2 million, I'm sorry. The 2 million zero.
2,000, we'd be taking a while.
No, 2 million, and that total came to almost a little over 3.4 million, leaving 11.4 million in contingency. And some of these numbers would be different since my 42.7 comes off for Lexia, the 47.5 comes off for Apex, and the 38,000 comes off the Reading Plus. So
You put
then.
that in your preschool fund.
Yeah, I could put that in preschool, or to increase the per student allocation to, to the, what did you have, Mr. Peridot? Yours were 30, 40, 50.
Yeah, to my counter rebuttal here to Ms. Hicks's point, I guess. When she, of course, she talks about the $10. My whole reasoning for the GRC and RDC and their calculators, because I know it's something they've asked for quite a bit. If we put that back to $10, you look at Campbell, 851 students, that gets them $8,500. That's not even going to touch the $63,000 that they'll need for those calculators. So, and I know that in both junior high, I think if I'm correct, Mr. Howard, you guys charge students to play athletics. Is that correct? Do you all? Okay, there is a fee for that because they don't have the extensive booster clubs like you may have at the high school. High school, I do know the expenses of sports, and they're adding sports every year, so I do know how that is. And again, putting the calculators into something separate, I think that helps them out. Again, both of these suggestions, proposals, or whatever, I think, Ms. Hicks went on down the line where on the last one I had buses and everything else with that. When you look at things that are just going to instruction, even though they're totaling up to $300,000, $400,000, it's a drop in the bucket in what we have. It's about 0.5% or less of what our contingency is. And, guys, if we had did a better job budgeting throughout the whole thing, these principals would have had this money in hand last year. They could have planned. If I give Shear 100 computers tonight, Carrie, how long does it take to get those 100 computers in their school?
Maybe a month or.
So probably next year. 2017 into that sense right there. And so then what you're planning, most of these principals, the money that they've got, they started planning on this last year. And, when we talk about gap kids, those kids take money. They take a lot of money. It takes a lot of planning. And that has to be, that just doesn't happen overnight. If they want to hire a resource teacher to help a kid in reading, that's not going to happen tomorrow, and that kid's not going to be doing that in reading. That's going to take a lot of plans. The decision that these schools will have to make once they get this money is do I want to use this money to try to hold on to something this year? Or like Dr. Bob kind of told us in the meeting, do they want to hold on to this money and look to see if there's something we want to do next year? And I know from the report that we had when we talked about our summer school this year and the successes that we saw in our summer school, but the number one thing that kept successes from being so good was that they had to hold back because they didn't think they had the money to do the summer school. We had we didn't offer any transportation. We could have sent a cab to their house with the money that we had to bring them here. So, I think, guys, we're trying to make up for what we've missed out on the last couple of years. And, you've got principals out here that, not only are doing a great job of getting to the distinguished part, they're still having to go out, beg, borrow, and steal to try to get computers and other things like that in their school. And if we could throw 1% at them right now, 1% of our contingency right now, to make it a little bit easier, then I think we need to do it.
Mr. Bowen, Mr. Howard, how important are calculators to you? Would you think of anything else that you would rather have with that money?
For me, we can't test. I mean, that's our problem. Like on August the 30th, we tested. Mr. Howard did too. We tested, I don't know if you guys know it, but grade 7 through 11, we all took practice college. I took 9th, 10th, 11th took practice ACT test. I think you did Explorer.
Yes, we did.
We didn't have enough, I don't have enough calculators for all the kids, so we have another test planned on January the 4th. Same thing again, to get another benchmarking the kids. And, I mean,
And we've got semester finals where we're gonna make a K-Prep like, and so we won't be able to do it without calculators. Because, again, that's what we ask our kids to do, is we want to practice doing something all year long and not give our kids the opportunity to get proficient with those particular devices. So that's one of the reasons it was on the top of my list. I mean, just
Okay.
at 63,000, I can't take a couple thousand here, a couple thousand here. That's what I do with my technology now. I go through and take 8 to 10,000 per year to replace devices. And then what I'm sitting on is, then my calculators are going out as fast as my computers. Does that make sense? And then I'm
Yeah.
stuck not being able to test.
I'll throw in there, I bought one whole set myself. Sacrificed our money to replace a set that was lost during the move. We lost one whole grade level set of calculators when we moved building.
And right now, the tests I borrow daily, but last year we ran into a problem where they were doing AP testing while we were doing K-Prep. And then I ended up having to steal my paper. I mean, I didn't steal it, so we made a deal basically to buy 100-some calculators out of Title I that wasn't even mine, to even have this to be legal testing. And so we're gonna be right in the same boat again. We don't do anything about it.
Well, on my suggested uses for the contingency, since $128,200 worth of the programs are already taken from instruction, I'm happy for that suggestion to be calculators.
What are your numbers again, Gordon, on the calculators?
The numbers I have, and guys jump in,
So what
what it is, I've got 59,433 for the GRC
How many?
Inspires. I'm thinking, is this 100? I wrote this on something else, I can't remember how many this was. And the RDC was 63,000. I just had the total
450
figure.
is the number I said.
The class
Is that what it was?
A classroom set of 30 is about $6,000. Somewhere around that area, I think, for that Inspire. Isn't that right, Mr. Bowen?
10 classrooms.
Because that's what we just ordered out of our ESS fund.
Or the TIA boards,
Yeah.
I just had a total figure written down.
450 on the TIA boards.
The only thing that I would say on the two proposals is I'm more leaning towards Gordy's proposal because we're going to do the salaries as a separate thing right now.
Yes.
And I'm leaning more towards Gordy's proposal just because of that. I think the other, and I'm not against anything Judy mentioned in there, I promise you, but I want to make sure that we do things in stages, you know. And I'm all right with giving the money for the calculators. I'm all right giving the 30 for the students. I'm all right with that.
Writing, I'm with Judy on the writing.
The only thing, you know, with me in writing, and I'm not saying it's wrong or whatever, but I think some decisions have to be made on that school level.
Yes.
And for us just to say, and not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying for us to say, here's $200,000, go out here and get a writing program. And if you don't believe in it, then it's not going to make any difference. And I would rather that feedback come back from principals of saying, we need this, we don't need this. I think, you know, some of the things that I've got, they have an opportunity with money that they got back from the board earlier and this right here, and some of the money that we put in technology, they've got some opportunities to replace some technology things with this, but it puts it back to those principals, those site-based councils to make those kind of decisions. And maybe they do want a writing, and together this is what we want to come up with. But I would rather that decision be made on that level.
Gordy, just because your site base really has that right to be truthful, you make that decision. That's definitely can't be mandated by the board.
No comment on that. I would leave it up to, I think our curriculum department and our principals have done an excellent job. I mean, we've made steady progress over the past 4 years. You look at our numbers, they're up every year. I would entrust it to you guys. I think if we subset, I don't say we need a writing program, we're just gonna buy this, we're gonna make it work. If there's something within Journeys that would work, if there's something else that would work, that's fine. We have Lucy Hawkins, that doesn't seem to be a popular option right now. You know, it's not working for a variety of reasons, fine. I think writing's important. I see in my office kids that come out that are very good in other areas and not as good in writing. That's been a characteristic of the system for some time. I hate to say that, but it is. We've made a lot of progress, and I want to see further progress made. So I'm willing to set aside a pile of money for it, but I would say we don't, it doesn't necessarily have to be in a writing program.
Well, concerning the writing program, for the past several years, I have served on the Governor Scholars Evaluation Panel, and we read everything. The writing is the worst part of the applications, and these are our best kids who are applying for this program, and their writing stinks. You know, they've got 4.0 averages and above. They've got, 28 and 30 on the ACT, and they cannot write a sentence, let alone a paragraph. And, that's very troubling to me when our best kids do not develop good writing skills. What are our gap kids doing with writing? And maybe it doesn't need to be a specified program where we give them the $200,000 and say, go buy a program. I get that. I would like to see the input back from principals. But we are falling behind in our writing, folks. We are falling behind. And I look at the scores here, and, we can celebrate every distinguished and every proficient. But when that percentage is less than half of our kids, or only just around half, and that's a real concern for me. So that's one of my passions, but I see it every day. But when I see this, when we're looking at these applications, I just cringe when I see what's not going on with writing. Sorry. Coming down from my soapbox now.
No, I've been on your soapbox before. I could write. I know who made me a good writer. You talk about teachers that make a difference in people. I was my 6th grade English teacher. I can see her sitting in the front row there, and she had these glasses, these horn-rimmed glasses that came down to here, and she'd look over you with the glasses, and she'd have that big bun, and boy, her eyes could just go right through you. But man, I knew how to write at the end of 6th grade. I knew how to break apart and put together sentences again, and I thank her every day.
Diagram sentences. Kids, you mentioned diagramming sentences now, and kids look at you like you have 3 heads. What are you talking about? But that's, and that's very, very old school, but it really created some, writers who understand the process. Okay.
So, where are we?
I guess we gotta go with the proposal, don't we? The way I look at it.
I'm fine with Gordon's proposal of $30 per student at K through 6, and then $40 per student at Campbell, $50 at GRC, to come up with $170,000.
Can I ask a question of Gordon? Do you use the current enrollments to get those numbers?
I used the current enrollment I got as of
That
today.
day. Of when?
As of today,
Okay.
that's what I've got.
And let me ask one other question. In Ms. Hicks' suggestion, she includes preschool. Yours is-
Well, that's
do
my
we need-
next one right
okay.
there. And I think when we did this proposal before, I wasn't really sure, and I think I made that up, I wasn't how preschool was funded. Looks like preschool, according to what's on here, was actually funded at the full amount there, the 42,000, so,
Yeah, we didn't-
based on what we had.
Better.
Phoenix is such a, you can't really base Phoenix on how many students they have in there. There's so many special situations there that they need that should be added to. I'm just not sure what programs Mr. Kendrick's got going or what he's looking at with that, but
May I interject?
sure.
They have not been funded. That's what they would be funded, and
Oh.
they were included in the staffing allocation, but they are not.
So they're not, well, I was wondering
They
about that.
have
They're
not
not in the
received any
staffing
money.
allocation.
No,
Okay,
they're
okay.
small.
If they were part of the staffing allocation, that's what they
Okay.
would have received. I just kind of made a
And so
note.
Phoenix, neither one of these
Preschool
are.
have not gotten
Okay.
any Section 6.
Oh, okay.
No.
They're not part of that staffing allocation. I was just trying to give you all a ballpark of if they were, that's how much they would get, and then based on your proposal and Ms. Hicks's proposal, the extra money for them. So that would be a consideration you need to add tonight if you want to do.
You know, and I'm not sure the other funding that preschool gets for the other way, I'm not, you know, I know he needs a laminator, I know that, I saw the parts of that one laying out, so I know, I know he needs that, if that's not been done yet, so I know that, but,
I think we need to look for figures.
I don't wanna give him a heart attack and give him 42,000 though, I think that may just,
I'll take the heart
he
attack.
may go,
Trust me.
he may go,
Teachers will allow me to have
he
a
may
heart
go
attack
running
for
out of here really
42,000.
quick right here, so. But I really don't, I guess I just didn't have enough information to even think about how to do that. But I know there's special needs situations in both of those situations that need to be addressed. I just don't know how we would go about. I thought when I looked at this, this meant that the preschool was already funded, so
I
that's,
apologize for
that, no, that's no problem,
just
that's
if
good to
they had
know.
been part of the
Okay.
allocation, they would have gotten that money.
But I didn't know. And I'm not sure what projects they got, where they're wanting at, or.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to throw something else out there with that, or if that's something we think we need to look at.
I think that we definitely need to put a pot of money in there for the writing. I'm not against that for Judy, and I'm not against putting in a pot of money for the preschool and the Phoenix Academy.
I think
Okay.
the writing would be a separate motion, or bring that back at a separate meeting.
Okay, when we
Because
do.
the
I'm
item we're
okay,
discussing
I'm
right.
fine with doing that, you know, when we come back to discuss other elements
Okay.
of how to use contingency.
The item on the
I'm
table
good
is
with that.
approval of additional funding to individual schools, so.
Right.
But we were gonna go ahead and do Phoenix.
Phoenix and preschool, I would like to see included.
Yes, I
Okay.
would too. So do we need to make a motion now? Gordy, won't you make your motion?
Should we put a figure, or do we gonna come back and visit Phoenix preschool, or are we gonna do it now?
I would suggest the dollars, what I would suggest for your motion is $1, per student figure, it's whatever grade level. That allows you all to have some flexibility because attendance varies. So that way you can make sure all students are represented. And you've got additional allocations to GRC and RDC for calculators. You've got some definite numbers there you can use, so.
I would suggest that whenever you do this per student, allow me to use today's enrollment.
Okay.
That's what you based it on.
Right, exactly.
And
Right.
And the parents' Judy's was based on
Mine was based
you-
on.
on 88. on
You
88.
priced the laminator?
So yours is.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually got the laminator today. So,
But you bought that out of your budget already, correct?
No.
Or that was,
It came out of district level.
oh, okay. Sorry about your luck, I can't, no, I'm just kidding.
That's mileage. Still good luck for him.
But now if we do, and maybe I misinterpreted this, but if we do the per student rate on the Phoenix, then they're gonna kinda get the short end because they don't have as many students, correct? So I think we need to put an amount to them for sure.
I mean, I mean, if we're looking at preschool, if we went with $15 per student
I'm all right with that.
and going with Phoenix Academy, a flat 10,000,
I think
does
that'd
that
be good.
sound?
Yep.
This would be for their middle and high.
For middle and high,
Total population, 10,000 Phoenix. Preschool at 15 per student.
15 per student.
So for preschool, if you do 15 for their current enrollment, which my understanding is $299.
Yes.
right
yeah, we're
now.
in, well, we just,
We'll
I
pull
was
the
just
numbers,
informed
don't
we got
take
4
his.
more coming that they've already.
He's just enrolled
Four more coming now.
We'll allow specific.
I give you 2 weeks to get them in.
I'm telling you, we are growing at an astonishing rate. We really are.
Well, won't you just do it on an average of 300 kids?
Well,
Period.
300 at your $15, you're talking $4,500 for
Right.
preschool.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah.
So where did this
Yeah,
42,000
they're
come
not
from?
funded by us
That's
anyway, they're
about
funded
it.
by us, federal government.
That was
too.
it.
That's the 100% if they were
They're
on
not
the
our
staffing
students, they're not our
allocation.
students. but
The
they-
rates
will
that
be.
were
Getting
done
C.
at the staffing.
Still, it's pretty good
Like
though.
C.
C.
Oh, that was a
Staffing.
C. Okay. Okay.
They're not included
They're not
on seat
included.
dollars. If they had been, that's where that, they would have gotten that much.
I'm all right.
They get up and take
$1,000
credit.
from them, if that's what you want to do.
4,500?
With the preschool, it might, $1,000, no difference, you know what I'm saying?
We'll go with the elementary preschool.
Why can't we
10,000.
do the 10,000 for the preschool? If we're doing 10,000 for Phoenix, why can't we do 10,000 for 10 times more students?
So I'll call yours and I'll raise Phoenix to 15,000.
Keep going.
Preschool to 10.
I'm all right with that too, really.
You all right with that?
I'm all right with 10,000 for both of them, to be truthful with you.
So we're talking 10,000 for Phoenix and
10,000 for
Yes.
preschool.
Yep. I'm
I'm
good
going
with
to
that.
ask Miss Ellis to be keeping a running total of this, because
I
this
am
is
trying.
real easy to do,
I'm scratching
okay?
out over here, guys. So we're talking, I just want to make sure I'm right. The first student, we're talking the elementary schools are $30 per student. Baker and Campbell would be
No.
40.
just
or
Camp-
Baker's
just Camp.
part of
K through 6
elementary.
is 30. K through 6, which is
Okay.
elementaries and Baker, is 30.
And then
RDC is
40.
40.
40 with $10 of that, looking at arts and athletics, and then GRC, $20 with arts and athletics.
$50.
And then preschool and Phoenix, $10,000 flat.
Yes.
For
Okay, we're
each.
at 202,808.
And then we have money allocated for purchase of Inspire calculators at
What were
GRC.
the amounts of those?
At GRC.
You got, okay, $63,000 at RDC, $59,433 at GRC.
63,000 and 59,433.
Correct.
What's the 80,000? What are these numbers from your original?
This is how much the calculator, this is what it's doing the
So
sales
we're at
today for $40.
$325,241.
About a half a percent.
About a half
What was
percent.
that?
Still about half a percent.
Yeah, and then we still got some more to do, we'll do some other things.
Total with calculators.
I just think we can do these other things as we
Yeah.
go. with other-
That's right.
All right, so everybody okay with that?
Yes.
That's tonight's budget.
Yeah, that's the nice spot.
Okay, well, we need a motion in a second and a vote.
You got it.
Well, I make a motion that we fund from our contingencies, should I put each school in one? Okay,
Be
the,
specific, you're
all
spending a
right,
lot of money.
1 through 6, grades 1 through 6, or K through 6, excuse me, K through 6 at $30 per student. 7 through 8 at $40 per student. $10 of that to be used in athletics and arts. GRC at $50 per student, $20 of that to be used at athletics or the arts. $10,000 at Phoenix and $10,000 at our preschool. $59,433 for the purchase of calculators for GRC. $63,000 for the purchase of calculators at RDC. That would be my motion.
Okay.
So that's motion by Mr. Carrabell. Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hicks, or second by Ms. Hicks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, next up is item number 12, to consider discussion and possible approval of amendments to addenda or to district salary schedules for 2016-2017 and 2017-2018 and subsequent fiscal years. And let's see, this has my name attached to it, so I'll go first. I'm not going to discuss anything about specific amounts. I'll leave that up to everybody. But Ms. Combs and I have had a fairly lengthy discussion about what's legal and what isn't in terms of giving salary raises mid-year. And I think it is very clear from advice that's available actually online from the Department of Education and previous legal opinions that granting retroactive pay increases is not legal. It violates Section 3 of the Kentucky Constitution. All right, all the teachers out there, tonight's vocabulary word is emoluments. And emolument is the word that's in section, I had to look that one up, but it's basically payment for services rendered, okay? And It's not constitutional to pay for a service that has already been rendered. You can pay public money for a service that's going to be rendered in the future, but you can't pay for anything that's been done already. So I think the law is very clear on retroactive pay increases not being permitted. The other thing is, there's a statute that basically says we have to set our pay schedule before the beginning of the fiscal year on July 1st. I can't remember what the exact deadline is, but I want to say it's April or May. It's in statute. So, and you know, there's nothing preventing us tonight from applying a raise to next year's schedule. I think we can do that tonight legally, and there would be no question about that. But I would prefer that a raise that we gave starting tonight or starting whenever the pay cycle is or whatever is convenient for Alicia and the finance department would be from a point forward. And I would suggest that the current salary schedules be left alone, and that we draft an amendment which reflects that pay increase tonight. I think that would pass legal muster. Do you have any comments on that?
No, I think that sounds perfectly reasonable and legal. I just want to add on that, I think probably everyone understands what you mean by, it's a little confusing because the statute says you already have a salary schedule. You have adopted a salary schedule by July 1 for this year. So Dr. Hudek's suggesting if you want to give a raise that starts tomorrow or whatever the next pay date is, this amendment. So I just want to make clear, it is possible to start a raise starting now, basically. That is a possibility. So if you'd like to do that, I do find it difficult to legally rationalize retroactivity.
What's the repercussion of retroactivity?
Lawsuit, Attorney General opinion, and you have to give the money back, probably.
Is there any precedence that's been set out there in any district?
Yes.
Yes, there's Attorney General.
What district is it?
No, I don't think, I think we're talking about two different things. When I heard you say precedent, I thought you meant have other districts done this retroactive raise? Yes, they have.
Mm-hmm.
Have they been sued? Not to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm. So there is no precedence out there?
Yeah, there's OAG 9623. That was the issue there was.
An individual person.
Right, but that was a fringe benefit to
Sure.
an employee, which was given retroactively, so. The other thing that Section 3 of the Constitution forbids is basically a Board of Education can't come up with a contract that would say, okay, we're going to give you performance bonuses. Okay, all right, well, if the district makes proficient, Mr. Christie gets extra money.
Well,
that's not legal.
my discussion would be, I've got two proposals. If we can't retroactive, I've got one proposal. If we don't retroactive, then or if we can retroactive, I've got one. If we don't, then I've got another proposal. So,
And I think I know what your other proposal is going to say, and I'll throw one other thing out there. What you might consider doing is taking a year's worth of money and say, make the amendment to the salary schedule, 3.2% or whatever it comes out. Well, here's the problem. If you do that, you give that extra money this year, come July 1st of next year, if you go back to the 2 or 3%, you've just cut people's salaries, and there's a whole bunch of things that kick in when you do that.
no, I wouldn't make the proposal to go back. You don't go backwards. Okay.
Well, and I would add, I don't make the decisions. You
Yeah.
vote for whatever you would like, propose whatever you would like. I'm not the decision maker, I'm just here to tell you.
Well, and I'm gonna go ahead and make my proposal, the first one. If we can't retro, my proposal, the first one would be, then I would put 4% for classified and 5%, or 4% for certified and 5% for classified. That's gonna be my proposal, since we can't retro. Now, if we feel like we're gonna get in a lawsuit, then we go back and do the 3 and the 4. For 3 for certified and 4 for classified. If we can do the retro. My bad, I might have misstated that. But if we can do the retro, I want to do the 3 and the 4.
And if not, the 4 and 5.
And I want to do the 4 and the 5 if not, because you're gonna make, no matter what you do, you're gonna lose that. I mean, people are gonna lose that money. They've worked for that money and they deserve that money. That's the way I feel.
Do we have money figures on that, or you
Well,
figuring that out?
I figured.
Well, I'm looking at the last line of the salary handout, which was item number 12. Let's pull this up so I can actually see it.
So,
And,
and I will restate my proposal because I have something else to add to my proposal when we find out the money figures.
Ms. Ellis said we had available for this venture $964,523.52. And if you look, her line crosses somewhere between 3.5. So at that point, the amount of the raise crosses the available money.
What page are you on right now,
It's the last page of
Okay.
12.
Okay.
So to do a 5% on classified and a 4% on certified, you're looking at basically 1,167,000. So that's dipping into contingency for this year.
What would be the difference of that dipping in?
We're looking at about $200,000.
Okay.
Come out of contingency. And then we need to maintain previous years forward, because you're not gonna take that back.
$200,000 is, if you dipped into $200,000 in what, 11, I'm just gonna figure on the low end, $11 million. How many years is that gonna last you? It's gonna last you quite a long time.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think you're putting money back into your people to do the right things.
You're suggesting we fund this raise with contingency.
No, that's not my suggestion.
I misunderstand you then.
So what's the amount that was already included in the budget for
At
salaries?
2% for certified and 3% for classified is already built into the budget.
That
And
first-
and what was that total, do we know what that total amount is? Because obviously, if we're this far through, some of that's gonna go back into contingency because we're not gonna be using it all, right? Because we're not,
I'm sorry, say that.
so part of that'll go back into contingency, what we've already allocated for that, correct? Because
Part of the-
if we can't go retroactive, then
Yes.
that money has to go back
Yes.
into contingency, so.
That's a total of 620, roughly 621,000 is built into the salaries, because right now, if
But that was
you
for
approve
a
it 2 and a 3.
full year also.
For the
so-
full year.
That's what was built in.
Right, so if you
Some of
don't
that's
do
coming back
retro,
like
part of
Gordy's
that
saying.
is come back.
Yeah.
So we basically had, what, 1 month of salaries or?
No.
July,
August,
Three
Well,
months.
no, we haven't had for teachers, and we're there, but they, well, I guess they'll go on the other end, so
Yeah.
they just shouldn't show it now, so we got 3 months there with that. So
A quarter.
you're a quarter of the way
So
through, so probably
$600,000.
$150,000 will go back into contingency there with that.
About how much, what'd you say, Gordy, about 150,000?
About 115,000.
Would go back
You
into
don't retro,
contingency.
we'll go back in.
That's at a 3 and 4, or 2 and 3,
Two and
2 and 3.
three.
So really, this year, it's almost a wash.
And if you did a 3 and 4, that would be 800, I'm looking at your numbers, 893,912.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, if you did a 4% on classified and a 3% on certified, it would be the 893. And this is again over the full year.
That's over the full year, so
Yeah, these are calculated over.
maybe 200,000 out of that would not be, but that's not, only 600 something's been allocated though, so that really wouldn't. So you're about breaking even
Yeah.
by doing a 3 and 4. So,
And the money you got in the budget, this will sustain, this is recurrent expenses. so
That's
this is-
recurring based on us doing a 4% revenue increase. Yes, it will sustain.
Are we ready to
I
move on?
think, well, I've just, whenever you're ready, but I just, a couple of comments here. I know I definitely support the 2 and 3. I don't think there's any doubt about that. That's built in there, and possibly a 3 and 4. It does start to concern me a little bit when we get more than that, and my reasons for that are, 92% collection rate this past year. Is that going to be a trend with us? Loss of students.
Yeah. We saved that off this year. but that's not
Oh,
to say that's
you
not
know, and you don't know if that's gonna happen or not. I mean, definitely, I've been in the shoes of, getting raises and not getting raises and those things, and those things do scare me, and it really does scare me if you think about taking money out of your contingency for your salaries. That's,
Yes.
I think that really, it does scare me, Todd, with that, but I think a 3 and a 4 is doable. I really do. And I'm not saying that the 4 and the 5, and it may come out, because I think we have a healthy budget. I really do. I think it's a really good budget. And based on some of the preliminary things from the first quarter, it looks like it's going to be a healthy budget.
I'm fine with a 3 and a 4 if you're, if you got
I
good numbers.
don't want to take
and
things
you
out of
you're
there.
bringing
I'm
more-
just,
more-
Todd's looking at it too, and I want, I just think I may need more information before I went further than that, so.
I think we could definitely afford the 3 and the 4 now. I think the 4 and the 5, I agree, that puts us, that's over what we had budgeted for this, so I think I have an issue with that. We can always go back and look at it. I mean, we'll look at these budget numbers again in January. We'll have a good idea of how many students we have in the
Get another
district.
quarter report from the
Right,
district.
another quarter report, and I think we'll have a better idea of our financial statement. And there's nothing that's prevent us from going back and amending the 17-18 salary schedules at a future date to include another 1 or 2%. So,
I'm still gonna hold to my proposal. I'm gonna make the proposal of 4 and 5%, 4% for certified and 5% for classified. And I think that I'm gonna ask that we do a roll call vote, 1 through 5. Well, then if you all wanna entertain another proposal with that, we'll go from there. But that's my proposal right there. So we have to vote on that one first.
Can we
With
also
it.
choose an effective date?
Yeah, that'll.
yeah,
What works for you?
The best date, because right now, the timeline, the 18th of where we're at today is the smack dab middle of the payroll, which will be hard to calculate 4 days here with the old rate and days of the new rate. So it would be best if we did October 29th as the effective date, so that falls on a full payroll schedule.
First day of a pay period.
First day of a pay period, and that would be the November 30th payroll.
I'll go ahead and restate my proposal again. Okay, I want to do a classified pay raise of 5%, a certified pay raise of 4%, and I want to do a roll call vote on that with going 1 through 5, and I want a effective date October the 29th.
That's your motion, right?
That's a motion.
That's a motion.
all right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Ritchie. All right, let's see, for roll call vote, Dr. Hudak going to vote no to that?
I'll vote yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Peridot?
No.
Ms. Hicks?
No.
And Ms. Ritchie?
Yes.
All right, so that motion fails 2 to 3. All right. Let's see, any other motions?
I'll make the motion again. If we're not going to do that, then I'll make the motion. We do 3% certified, 4% classified, and we do a roll call vote, 1 through 5, and it'd be effective October the 29th.
So this is an amendment to the salary schedule.
Yes.
Okay.
This is for this year.
Yep.
That will be effective October 29th.
29th.
Okay.
All right, so is there a second for that?
I'll second it again.
Second by Ms. Ritchie, okay. I will vote yes.
I'll vote yes.
Mr. Peridot?
Yes.
Ms. Hicks?
Yes.
And Ms. Ritchie?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, so that is for this year. Do you want to make a motion to amend the salary schedule for 27-18?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to amend the salary schedule for 2018.
And what's the amendment that you're proposing?
Well, I guess that we look at another percentage on each area, either third, what's that?
Judy?
Can't do that.
I don't know.
This is for the year, the salary year that has not yet come.
Yeah,
Right,
no.
I would say 17-18.
No.
If you wanna,
We may have a change in the board. Is it legal?
That's
for-
true. That's a good point, Judy.
That
Good
would
point.
be my
well, the thing is,
concern.
my concern here is you just gave a salary increase. If you don't give that salary increase in the future, If we don't have a motion that increases the salary for 2017 to 2018 and on, you actually go back to the old salary schedule, so you're going to have a reduction in payment.
Okay,
This
but it
was
doesn't have to be tonight.
Wasn't
No,
this
but
amendment
I would
to
think
the salary
that's-
schedule?
You just amended the salary
I was
schedule.
gonna say, you just
We
amended the
just
salary.
did it for,
Yeah.
And that's
That's what your new salary
We just
schedule will
did
remain
that.
until,
Yes.
until you change it.
It can't go back to the
Yeah, I
old.
think it would remain.
Yeah, it can't go back to the old.
Okay, all right.
right, yes, we just amended it with that motion that just
Yeah.
passed.
Right.
So that amendment is effective October 29th from there on out.
And I withdraw the other then.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Can we have a 5-minute break, please?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if I don't break either.
Thank you.
All right, so the board is in recess at 8:40 PM. They were kind of sharing some history. What I would do is take the amount of money that we're on and make that a one of our policies.
Well, we're never going to.
Figure out what the difference was if you get the 5, the 3, and the 4% the entire year.
I'm ready to get out of here. I gotta put signs out. I'm done when I need to do it.
Last time, they brought up.
I know what it is. The only reason I know that because I've looked at
Yeah, they did.
I want a letter,
The thing is, so, but no, I would do that. That way everybody's the All right, everybody, we're back in session at 8:50 p.m. Next item is item number 13, consider approval of all or parts of the Robert D. Campbell gutter, roof, and facade replacement or repair plan. Mr. Nichols.
Good evening. Every morning about 7 a.m. we sit down and really assess the needs of the district on a daily basis because those needs change daily. It seems that, however, at Robert D. Campbell, the list that I've prepared for you tonight, these concerns seem to come up on a daily basis. The first one being gutter repair. If you noticed in your needs binder, you can see the photos of the gutters that have holes in them. It's one of the first things you notice when you drive down by the old high school or Robert D. Campbell is it's very
Where you drive behind and see the windows.
right. Exactly. Not only that, but we have some roof repairs over top of the library, roof repairs over top of the choir. Also in that figure is metal wall panels that would come down across the windows to hide those windows and give it a much better look. The facade would be a lot better shape. Also, the library roof and the panels coming together. And the first one is WTI, a subsidiary of Trimco Incorporated. They gave us all these are state-approved contract bidders or vendors, so we could use either one of them. The first row is WTI, and this is repair of the gutters, $21,800, and that is not in writing, but they did give me an estimate. It would give us an extra 7 years on the gutters. Ray Nolan Roofing Company came in at $16,950. He said the same thing. It would be between 5 and 7 years extension on our gutters there. However, if we went with insulated roofing, that is a complete replacement cost of $189,878 for the gutters. So I'm asking the board to consider either parts of this or all of this as a whole and go with one vendor, or we could mix it up and go with parts or.
How do you feel about going with parts and parts?
It depends on which direction the board wants to go in. If we want to get a 20-year warranty, we can go with insulated roofing. If we want to do like the metal panels, that's brand new. We're not replacing anything there. That is an additional construction. The repair on the roof over the choir and the band room. The choir room, I think they're going to give us a 12-year warranty for the 59. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong figure. I'm sorry, the 33,500 would be a 12-year warranty. The 19,687 would be a 10-year warranty, and insulated roofing gives a 20, I think 20-year warranty with a new roof. Economically, we could go with the $92,337.50. That'll give us about another 5 to 7 years.
Have we done work with either one of these companies?
Not specifically. Trimco, I know them through my relationship with other superintendents.
John Hagan. What would be your, I mean, are these good companies reputable?
They are. Insulated roofing did Conrad and addition to RDC.
So who did which one?
Insulated roofing contractors.
Okay. Okay.
And all three of those.
What is the difference there, Mr. Nichols? You're looking at 39,462 as compared to 19,000. I mean, that's a
Well,
pretty big.
What Ray Nolan is proposing is the roof is blistered. So you would be replacing or cutting out those blisters and repairing those blisters with a patch. And they would warranty that for 10 years.
So he's doing a repair, the other one's a replacement?
Yes.
Okay.
Trimco is also a repair. For that particular.
Repairing the same area? Why
Pretty big
the
difference for them
big
too.
difference in the price?
I didn't get a reason.
Because and insulated is a replacement?
For that amount of square footage, based on 4,375 square feet.
What's that part there? It says that not priced by insulated roofing. It says the metal wall panels, I think around the outside top.
They're
of the
originally
gym.
don't do that.
When insulated roofing
Okay.
gave us a price,
Okay.
Were these
We had
bids or were
considered
just
that.
prices that we got? I mean, were these bids or, these are all bid? Okay.
I'll be in the same thing.
Quotes.
Quotes, yeah,
Quotes.
so it's all quotes, the
Okay.
same work.
I know we do have a local company that does a lot of that stuff. I didn't know if they'd ever got in on any of that or not. So I didn't. Mancy Metal, I know, does a lot of work like that.
I don't know how much they do, they provide metal, but I don't know if they do.
I think they do a lot of
Do
stuff.
they do?
But
So if we were selecting insulated roofing for some of it, we would still have to select one of the others for the metal wall panels?
And those are covering up all the windows around the gym, so there'd
there's
be no.
3 areas.
There'll
Yes.
be no windows visible.
There's a metal section in the back and the rear,
Mhm.
in the middle of the gymnasium there would also be covered
Okay.
through the same color.
So there would be no natural light coming into the gym?
That'd be correct.
There's not any now.
Not,
Because it's
we
been
got them all
painted
painted
It's
now.
all been painted
It's got
anyway.
plastic
Well,
above.
would you have to go back and do something with those? I mean, as
No,
far as,
we paint them on the inside and you would,
I mean, I
we
think they
could-
can't be opened, and so what I'm saying is that I guess they'd have to be drilled through
Screw
tread or
Yeah.
something like that with that.
and then we could come back on the inside if we do additional remodeling, do something to the interior of the gym.
Considering what the board did there last year, we upgraded the lighting, LED lighting, and we increased the foot candles there. I can't remember the exact numbers, but there's more lighting in that gymnasium than there's ever been.
Any idea how much we've spent on that roof the last 5 years? Probably a lot more than what we've got here, I don't know, just based on, I'd hate to go back 10 years, but
We're still under warranty with insulated roofing with most of that roof. We're about 12, 15 years, I think. 12, 15 years into a 20-year warranty.
and they're still charging us 39,000? What was the warranty?
No, this section has never been covered by insulated roof.
This part's not been covered by, this is, okay, I was fixing to say.
The insulated roofing didn't do that section.
Oh, gotcha, all right.
It's modified enhancement, no section.
My last question would be, what's the suggestion? Mr. Christie, Mr. Snow, Mr. Nichols?
If we're going for the quick and easy fix, the most economical one would be the Ray Nolan.
Yeah,
But is that the best one?
yeah, I want
You
the
get
last.
5 years on your gutters, you know how much guttering there is out there.
Quite a bit.
There's a lot.
I mean, you know, we've done a pretty state-of-the-art building there too, you know what I'm saying? So why not do it right and finish it up? I'm not into, doing this Band-Aid and that Band-Aid.
I agree.
What is our funding source for this? Is it coming from
I'm asking it to
This would be
come.
general fund.
general contingency?
Your gutters and your roof.
So what about the contingency in the Campbell account?
There's about 30,000 left there, but we've got a couple, some change orders, that you got that coming tonight, that's gonna drop to about 20, you're gonna end up about 22,000 left there. in your contingency, Which could go toward this when you're done.
That'll go back to contingency anyway.
But it'll go back to contingency if you don't, you know, it's where you get that. Well, no, it won't go back to contingency.
No, it's
No, it goes to construction and
It
then
should
go
go
to
capital
capital.
outlay.
Yeah, where you've got about a little over 2 million there right now.
But you're right, and if we went with insulated roofing to repair the gutters, or replace the gutters and do roof on, over the choir and the library, we would still have to approve one of the other vendors for the facade, or not.
So you're looking at 350,000 again for the whole
Getting in the
thing.
BG1 area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is with the architects, each one of these companies have their own architects, and those prices are already figured in. And they walk the BG through KDE.
Does that mean automatic approval just because you walk it through?
So,
And explain the large difference between insulated roofing and number two again, especially for the gutter repairs.
for the gutter repairs, the
20
first
years.
two is just that, it's a repair. Insulated roofing would be a complete replacement with a fascia board and new gutter.
And same thing with the library grade roof, that's a complete
Yes.
You know,
roof. You are looking at the BG one if you do that, so.
yeah. But I feel by the gutters, like we did with the concrete,
Yes.
It
that's the way
needs
I-
to be
That's the way I
done.
feel, Judy. I
It
mean,
really
if we're gonna do
needs
it, we
to be
need to do it
done.
right.
I mean, the concrete improved the looks of that
Yes,
so
it
much.
did.
In case something else needs to come up, probably this summer, some asphalt work around that front part there. Next week, it's linked when you start looking at the ground stuff, is the asphalt around the loop. But your weakest link right now, as far as the way the building, the appearance and the way it's functioning, is when you're leaving the high school and coming back toward Campbell. In another month, you can see Campbell coming back from the high school. You see those windows. When the leaves go off, that's a very visible part of that. So, to me, that's an important part, is getting that fixed in your gutters.
Let's get it right.
Just, I don't recommend doing it right, doing it.
I'm gonna make the motion then, if everybody's ready. We need any more discussion?
Keep in mind that those figures on the choir and the library are estimates based on the last price we got from insulated roofing. So we'll have to make those two numbers a little bit more concrete.
Gentlemen, you know what the BG one limit is?
We were just talking about that, actually. There really is no set limit. KDE makes that call. At first, to give you an example, we thought we were going to have to do a BG1 on Baker's basketball court. Then they eventually backed off of that one, said we didn't have to, but the initial position was we had to do that. It was on a $22,000 project, so it really is up to KDE whether they feel we might need to do a BG1 on a project that would be a $189,000 gutter system. But John seems to think that since they're on the state bid list, that we may not need to. So probably, all I can say to you is we might need to consult KDE to see what their position would be with this scope of work. Because once you start adding 2 or 3 other projects to it, then you're starting to get up to that area where they may require a BG form. And they may not. Without speaking to
Well, if they do, then you just come back and amend it, correct? Or whatever you do.
Well, you'd have to initiate BG1, which probably would incur some more costs. You'd have to have engineers and architects and prevailing.
I thought they all had their own,
They're engineers
they
and
already had
architects
their
in here.
engineer and architects, all these people.
Well,
Includes
that
this.
might be the case. I don't know about insulated roofing or gutters. I don't, David would know. more about that.
They did that they waived the architectural fee for the maintenance
For the roof.
For the roof.
But right now, we're making a proposal on which one of these three we want, correct?
That we could move forward with,
Yeah.
yes.
So if we went with insulated for the work that they could do, what would be the recommendation going with the metal wall panels around the outside top of the gym, or are we gonna wait on that?
I
or
think-
do
I think either company would be sufficient. They're using the same type metal, the same gauge metal.
Would they still
Basically
give you
the
the
same
same
process.
prices based on the fact they wouldn't be doing the other jobs, or do we know that?
These are individually priced.
Three separate bids,
Three separate
quotes.
Okay.
And again,
And two separate quotes for insulated roof.
I don't know anything about either company, so I don't know.
No, I
It's a guess for me, so I don't know. I mean, I'd like to do it right, but I don't know what to do on the other one.
if you can give me the permission to move forward, I can come back if needed with the insulated roofing. If you want to go
When
in
would they
that
think
direction.
about, when would they think about doing this? Would this be something that's done before winter, or is this something that's gonna be done in the spring, or?
That's a good question. It's unseasonably warm right now for October.
It's going to
Obviously-
change by the end of the year.
That flat roof and a bad roof, when it freezes up and cracks up there, that becomes pretty bad. So,
Your metal work's not gonna be a subject to this.
No, that's right. It'd be that big a deal.
That's right.
There's a very small window for roofing right now.
Yes.
You get into November, it's really contingent upon weather, and that's your risky month.
I don't really know if you even want to put a roof on if it's cold weather, because it's struggle.
You know, you might get into a situation where roofers don't want to do it this fall,
That's right.
based on their workload. I mean, they're working on roofs too.
Could we do this? Could we move forward on choosing someone to do the metal work? And while we get that going, and then let us work with the roofing companies and find out for sure whether there's a BG1 involved on the other two. And if there is, we'll bring it back, and we'll bring it back anyway. But we bring it, when it comes back, it'll come back with the BG1. But go on and get started on the metal work, so I think they can go on and get on that.
what's the recommendation?
The
I don't have the recommendation. John Hagel would know anything about one or more or the other, Ray Nolan or WTI, or Tremco,
One's just as good as the other. I will say this, that gutter system on that roof, that foam roof, it's one system. The foam carries over into the gutter essentially. If you're going to go back and tear those gutters off, there's certain temperature where they will not work on that roof.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We're gonna wait on the roof part.
And if you did go with insulated roofing to do the gutters, they void their warranty on the existing roof.
We're just gonna do metal panels, right?
Yep.
One's as good as the other,
We'll take
7,000
that.
looks cheaper to me.
Save the difference.
So we ready? I'll make the motion.
Sounds good.
I'll make the motion that we move on the metal panels with the Ray Nolan Roofing Company for $52,300. Is that right? I can't hardly see that, but and that we go ahead. Also in the proposal, we go ahead and pursue the roofing through if we need a BG1 or move forward with that part of it. I'm not saying we're going to do the roof. I'm just saying we move forward. Or is that a different proposal? Do I need to make that separate?
That's fine. All right, so motion by Mr. Volson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Parrott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
All right, next up is item number 14, consider approval for the KISSO participation resolution for the 2016 AEAP pool bus financing program.
Requirement of accessing KISTA funding for bus purchases requires the board, if they're interested that particular annual year, to adopt a resolution that's before you. Currently, we have, well, this year, at some point this year, I want to say March of this upcoming March, we have 7 buses coming off our lease programs. So what we're proposing is that we add an additional 5 buses, which would pretty much get us to what we're paying now for those 7 buses. Buses have gone up a lot since we bought 7. So instead of renewing for 7, we're proposing that we renew for 5 new buses so that we'll keep you at the approximate payment that you have had for the past 10 years on those 7 buses. So this is just a resolution. We're asking you to adopt tonight so that we can put our names in the hat to show our intent for participating in the KISTA program.
Okay. And that's budget neutral, that's the same amount. That's
Roughly the same amount. I wouldn't say it's exactly, but I say you're right in that ballpark to where it wouldn't be a significant difference.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Mr. Stump for discussion? If not, a motion is in order to consider approval for the KISTA participation resolution for the 2016 KE8 pool bus financing program for 5 buses.
I'll make the motion to participate in the KISTA program for buses.
Okay, motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Mr. Parrott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, next up is item number 15, consider approval of contractual agreements between Quicksand Farms and Clark County Board of Education for turf renovation of the softball and baseball fields.
Okay, we're asking the board to consider permitting us to engage in contractual agreement with Quicksand Farms. This is the company that we engaged in contract with for the football and soccer fields. Quite frankly, we've been very impressed with
They're
this
very good.
company. I had my doubts at first, and I'll be the first one to admit that I wasn't accurate in assuming that it wouldn't be a good contract for us, but it was. They really brought our football field along well.
Yes.
They brought our soccer field along well. Those sports are very happy with what they have. We played middle school and high school football on that field this year, all the games, and it's held up well. That Bermuda grass has held up well. So what we would like to do is propose to the board that we contract with this company to address our baseball field and our softball field. Currently, our softball field looks really bad in the outfield. This proposal would allow this company to go in and completely kill all grass in the outfield, resow with annual fescue, or perennial fescue, which would come back every year, and we're being assured if we engage in this contract, it'll be ready for softball season. Similarly, on the high school or the baseball field that's located out on the McClure site, that field has been pretty much consumed with Bermuda grass, ironically. You know, we fight to get Bermuda grass on the football field, but it grows wild on the baseball field. Unfortunately, Bermuda grass is not conducive to baseball because it's an out-of-season grass. When it's brown when they play baseball, it turns green after baseball season's over. So we want to go in, allow this company to go in and sow, heavily sow, and fertilize, treat throughout the course of the year perennial ryegrass and fescue, so that field will be green during the season. The softball field proposal was quoted at, let's see, $27,500 is the baseball field, and $3,210 is the softball field. So we're asking the board permission to engage in those two contracts.
Other questions for Mr. Stump for discussion? What's the expense going to be for coming years? This is going to be a recurring expense, I take it, or just one time? Or?
Well,
you're looking at field renovation now, but what's going to be the recurring expense?
Well, the recurring expense would not be significant reseeding, which seems to be, we've experienced to be some of the most expensive costs, particularly when you're buying Bermuda seed. That stuff is expensive. The ongoing maintenance of it, that's fertilization and things of that nature. Well, you can see that the baseball fields, the whole annual cost of the baseball field is $2,750 for that entire field, with rye seeding as opposed to Bermuda, where we paid roughly $6,500 for the football and soccer fields for those, including seeding. So I think it's several $1,000s cheaper would be if we wanted to go with this company on the next year or more on an annual basis. I think you're looking at roughly $3,000 per field. I think would be a fair estimate to maintain that throughout the course of the year. One of the biggest advantages in working with this company is that they have the equipment to maintain these fields, the seeders, the spreaders. We don't have that equipment. We have to contract those services out, and that's what makes it difficult for us as a school system to maintain these fields with in the professional way that they need to be maintained, because we simply do not have that equipment.
Have they done any of this work already? I mean, based on the timeline here, it says the soil test was September 12th, apply lime and fertilizer according to soil test results October 15th. Have they already done this?
he's field tested it and did whatever he needed to do to prepare the quotes. So,
No, the first fertilizer's not been applied. He's not done any work.
Okay.
That was the schedule he
Well,
came up with.
he has to take the soil sample so he can figure out what the cost is going
He
to be.
did do the soil sample, but there's no
Okay.
cost to that. That was just to tell us what we
Yes.
need.
Okay.
But he has not applied anything, and we're kind of getting behind the 8 ball now.
Yeah,
That was his schedule. That was the
That's right.
schedule that we're still.
Treatment.
and we met with the coaches of these teams and really asked them what they would like to see done to their fields. And rather than do a complete kill on the baseball field, it was the coaches and boosters suggesting that we do what's being proposed. So the coaches have been pulled into this
But
as
at the
well.
softball field, the grass is really bad in the outfield, and at softball, that's the only place you have grass. So there's no grass infield, so it's the entire outfield.
Yeah, these schedules are going to be a little out of whack.
Overtaken with some other.
Any other questions for Mr. Stump for discussion? If not, a motion is in order to consider approval of the contractual agreements between Quicksand Farms LLC, the Clark County Board of Education for the proposed turf renovation of the softball and baseball fields in the amount of $5,960.
I'll make that motion as written.
Motion by Mr. Peridot.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is item number 16, consider approval of the standard form agreement between owner and construction manager as advisor for the GRC High School Gymnasium/athletic field construction project.
Okay, at a previous board meeting, the board approved Codell Construction as your construction manager for the high school project. This is the required AIA document that needs to be approved and signed, agreeing agreeing that the owner and the construction manager have certain contingencies about percentages and what have you. We placed this on the board tonight with the expectation that we would receive KDE approval for the revised BG that's on their table at this point up at KDE. We haven't received that. We have received approval of the BG1 for your gymnasium. So if the boards are willing to stay ahead of the game and approve this contract tonight, we would ask that you did so pending KDE approval for the revised BG1 that would include the athletic fields. Again, your BG1 has been approved for your gymnasium. It's still pending as the revised BG1 for your athletic fields. This contract does mention gymnasium and athletic fields. So if you make a contingent upon KDE approval of the revised BG1, you will be fine.
Are you sure we'll be fine?
Anything's contingent upon KDE approval. If they don't approve and you base it on that contingency, then it's my understanding that the contract would be void then.
Are you okay with that?
Well, it wouldn't be that the contract was void. What you would vote is that they not sign it until they got the approval, and so then there just wouldn't be a contract until they got the approval.
We'd be okay with that.
Do we need to change page 4 where it mentions the 17,000? Does that actually need to be 22? I had noticed that till just now, I'm sorry. Isn't the BG1 on the table, isn't it for 22 or 20?
20.
Okay.
It's 20.
What page are you on?
Page 4, the very, very top. It does say initial, but I just don't know if the other BG1 needs to be noted there.
Is it referring to the BG1 that was approved?
Yes, if you look at the top, it says initial BG1 construction cost is 17,000, but it occurs to me that we now have this other BG1 where it's actually
20,200,000.
Well, your percentages on the back page will, for projects that are, 20 million to 25 million, there's a 1.95 percentage. Anything less than that, if you fall down to 14 million for your gymnasium, it would be a higher percentage rate, so that would be affected, certainly.
Oh, no, I just mean the writing of the actual contract on page 4. Don't we need to change it?
I think my page 4 is different than your
More
page
of like
4.
a simple, it's page 3.
Oh, page
I'm sorry,
3,
it's
okay.
page 4 of the actual document.
It's
I'm
section
sorry.
113.
I apologize. Counting is clearly, numbers are just not my thing.
Got me there one more time.
I was just noticing
That's
one number. I should
construction
never
cost. Wait,
have said anything about a number.
You're talking, I see what you're talking about now. That's, the overall project cost is 20.2 million. This only is dealing with construction costs, and that's 17 million. And that 17 million it represents the entire project. That's construction cost.
Really, the only thing that would change between, if the KDE did not approve the revised, would be the percentage that they would charge on the gym would be higher than what they would have if it were a combined project.
Yeah, I think that the appropriate way to do it would be to say, upon KDE's approval of the BG1, somebody can sign it. And then you don't have to worry about voiding the contract because you just never have one. And if they don't approve it, then you never sign it.
Then I would come back to you just for the gymnasium piece.
Yeah,
Of
and
the
then just have to
contract.
bring all new contracts and
Be okay
put
with
it
that.
back. Because realistically, if they approve the BG1, you're going to be in the exact same spot you are tonight, just on a different date.
Next month.
Is an attorney on the BG1 group that approves.
I'm not under the impression, no, I don't think so.
What was the question?
You mean at KDE, who
Yes.
approves BG1s?
That would be the facility
No,
branch
I
manager.
think it's just facilities management and
Yeah.
the team there. There's a director.
Greg Dunbar
Yeah, Craig Dunbar.
and James Bauman.
Yeah.
James Bauman's been on vacation. I didn't know he'd been on vacation for the last
Apparently he's
week.
on vacation till Thursday, so that's part
Is
of
he
it.
an attorney?
He's not
No,
an attorney.
he's an architect.
Have
There-
any attorneys, have you talked with anyone else, Mr. Christie, about what I mentioned the other day?
I have. I talked to Joe Nance today, as a matter of fact, and that would be an accurate statement. I'd have to go back and look at the article again that you read and see if that was, he made that statement because they had built an athletic complex at a school that was already existing. That's different from building, ours is a new school, a new project.
In
This
phases.
is all still this is like phase 3 of a new high school project. So we're absolutely fine on using bond money. I talked to Joe Nance today, I posed that very question.
And Joe's an
Joe.
attorney?
Joe's with Ross Sinclair that bonds virtually every job in the state, you know,
Okay.
so.
Now, if you were attempting to renovate Campbell's football field with bonds, you couldn't do that. It has to be new construction.
Yes, exactly right.
And your high school is still considered new construction because you're in phase 3 now. Well, your gymnasium was approved. You know, it's already been approved by KDE. That's athletic.
Hindsight, probably what we should have done was just not put when we did the revised BG1s, just did a BG1 for the athletic fields and left the BG1 for the gym and one for the fields. But we could have been working on gym. I mean, it's approved. That could be going on. When we put it back onto the BG1 as part of the other one and made it revised, now it's lumped it all together. It's all gonna be on one BG1. But they've already approved gym. Nothing's changed on what they've already approved on the gym. The only thing that they're looking at now are the athletic fields. And as a board, we're gonna have to talk about a little bit later when we bid those, how we bid those in water alternates, or, you know, we'll probably break out some things and list as alternates as we go.
And we're just trying to stay ahead of the game. You know, right now you have an architect that's working with a construction manager that we have no contract with. And we're just trying to stay ahead of the game. If you want to approve this contingent upon KD's approval, and we don't sign it until then, I think that would be fine. I mean, John, do you think? I think that would be fine. Not to do anything tonight would leave your architect technically with no one to work with as a construction manager as they design both your gymnasium and your athletic complex.
Okay, I'm gonna make the proposal that we go with the
Motion.
motion, or I'm gonna make the motion as we go with the gym and athletic construction project with the manager, with the agreement between the owner and the construction manager, and that we should I put in there about the KD?
Pending KD approval.
Pending KD approval.
And we won't sign it or ask Dr. Cooter to sign it until after we get that BG1 back approved. Is that the understanding?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so motion's on the table, Mr. Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Carroll. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
No, I'm just not comfortable with this history here.
Okay. Motion carries 4-1. Mr. Wilson, Mr. Carado, Dr. Kudak, and Ms. Ritchie in favor, and Ms. Hicks opposed. All right, next up is pay item number 17, pay estimate number 18.
This is one of your final pay application that would actually bring all of your contractual work at Campbell renovation and Campbell Junior High renovation to zero. So final pay application for $369,773.39, which would pay off your contractors.
I move that we approve the Codell pay estimate number 18 for the Campbell Junior High School construction project in the amount of $369,773.39.
Motion by Ms. Hicks.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And that's also all release of all retainages, right? John, it's also release of retainages, by the way.
And then 18 is a change order fee request.
Change order fee request. This is a fee request from Codell Construction for the history of change orders that have been conducted on the renovation project, BG 12253. And it also has a, as I attached to your agenda, change order history. They charge 3.9% for the totality of your change orders. It has the total change order figure on there multiplied by 3.9% equals the $8,583.66 for Codell's fee for change orders.
Has this been on the other projects we've done?
I don't know if they've done it that way in the past. Have you done it this way in the past, John?
We did this one at the end. They had that fee schedule up there a minute ago. We were right on the cusp of a possible change in our fee. We went over that threshold. So instead of having to come back to you and revise at the end, we just waited to the end to go one time. Just to make it.
I can't reflect on past because I wasn't in this position.
I just didn't.
Usually we bill it on each individual change.
Right, okay, that's,
But
okay.
we could have gone, depending on how much you spent, we could have gone over that threshold. Our fee would have changed, percentage would have changed, and we've been back having to alter every single change order.
Okay.
So we just waited to the end.
I've seen the architect fees on there, the change in the architect fees, but I've never seen the construction manager fees on those change orders. Now, Mr. Christie alluded earlier too that, this could potentially go on the contingency for that project. Is that correct, John? You could use your contingency to pay this fee. Right now, I think you have roughly $35,000 left in that contingency. You could direct this to be tapped into that contingency, or as Mr. Nichols presented earlier, you could use some of that money for some of the projects that he put on the table there too, because you're still under construction, you're still under a BG1 in that school, so you could use that contingency how you choose to use that in that school. Is that right, Mr. Christie?
My recommendation would be pay it out of the contingency, pay them off, and then when you have what you know exactly what you have left in your contingency.
Which would be rough around 20 then. 22, something like that.
Okay. Other questions from Mr. Stump or discussion? Motion is in order to consider approval for the change order fee request to Codell Construction for the Robert D. Campbell renovation project of $8,583.66 to be paid out of project contingency.
Make that motion as written.
Motion by Mr. Peridot.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hicks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Then 19, consider approval of the BG4 forms and purchase order summary form for the Robert D. Campbell renovation project.
Now you're ready to enter the closeout phase of Robert E. Campbell renovation project. These would be the required BG4 closeout forms with your contractors and your change order summary, purchase order summary forms that we would need to submit to KDE after your approval, so we can begin that formal closeout process for that BG1.
Okay, there's lots of different things for me to say.
I'll make that motion as written.
Motion by Mr. Peridot.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Wilson, or second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Stone. Next up under internal board business is allocation of junior achievement in the amount of $2,500. I think that's been in line with what we have given in the past. Ms. Combs stated that we probably should include in the motion that this is the money that we would spend is going to be basically for the benefit of Clark County students, correct?
The JA representative is here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here in case
Sure.
you all have any questions. So.
Okay.
Yes, it's totally for Clark County Schools.
Okay.
Actually, and I've got a couple of things just in case you all wanted to see numbers from the past and that kind of thing, so.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. There you go. There you go. Thank you. Got an extra. Yeah, you can.
So we're good, it's all in Clark County, that was the only,
So if they allocate this money today, it will only be used for students in Clark County?
Oh, yes, only, yeah, because we've actually got, as you see on there, I can't remember what the total was, the requests we have so far this year. There on the bottom, which is, I think, 14 or 15 classes so far, so that would be allocated towards those classrooms.
good. Make that motion as written.
All right, so motion by Mr. Perro to allocate $2,500 to junior achievement. Second. Motion by Ms. Ritchie, or second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Sorry you had to sit here.
Thank you.
That's okay.
We were spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
So. All right, does any board member wish to hear anything off the consent agenda separately? If not, a motion is in order to approve or acknowledge all of the following. Item number 21, consider approval of Campbell Junior High band trip to Phantom of the Opera, November 18, 2016 in Cincinnati, Ohio. Item number 22, consider approval of the GRC High School Y Club trip to attend KYA, November 20th through 22nd, 2016 in Louisville. Item number 23, consider approval of the GRC High School girls basketball team to participate in state tournament if qualified, March 7th through 12th, 2017 in Cleveland Heights, Kentucky. Item number 24, consider approval of the GRC High School boys basketball team to participate in state tournament if qualified, March 15th through 19th, 2017 in Lexington, Kentucky. Item number 25, consider approval of the GRC High School Kentucky Youth Assembly to attend KUNA March 26th through 28th, 2017 in Louisville. Item number 26, consider approval of surplus items with disposal proposal. Item number 27, acknowledge SBDN minutes. Item number 28, approval of school fundraiser request. Item number 29, approval of employee leaves of absence. Item number 30, acknowledge the notice of personnel action report. Item number 31, acknowledge monthly energy report. Item number 32, acknowledge the cash position report. Item number 33, acknowledge the Clark County Clerk's motor vehicle tax report. Item number 34, acknowledge monthly financial report. Item number 35, acknowledge the general fund budget summary report. A motion is in order to approve or acknowledge all those items.
I move that we approve or acknowledge items 21 through 35 as presented.
Motion by Ms. Hicks.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Motion is in order to authorize payments of salaries and accounts payable.
I move that we pay salaries and accounts payable.
Motion by Ms. Hicks.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Motion is in order to adjourn.
Well, hold on, before we do that motion, I would like to make a motion that we look at contracts that are coming up here that are due on anything that we have. Is there anything in the district that contract would be coming up that we need to look at? I believe it's the school lawyer, or the board lawyer,
Okay, board attorney.
Board attorney.
November.
November 14th. I would like to see maybe that put on the next agenda.
It's fine. We can do that.
We got a motion.
Is that going to be on the October 25th agenda or the next regular meeting agenda?
Put it on any of those agendas.
When does it end? I mean, when's her contract end? Because we want to have some, you know, I mean,
November 10th through 15th through November 9th to 16th, so it ends on November 9th.
so we probably need to, no later definitely than the first, or the, what was it, the
We've
first or
got
the
a meeting
fourth?
on the 20th.
You got meetings on the 25th and the 1st.
So definitely no later than the first.
I can put it on either agenda, that's fine.
I'm good with either one.
Right. Well, okay. All right.
Where you-
Well, we're moving to a new firm. I'm not sure if we ended up with a new contract. I guess it's fine.
We do.
And I know I moved
So you
like at
changed-
the end
you
of
changed.
January. So I was just
We don't
thinking,
have a new contract. We just have one.
I don't know, just, you can review it whenever you'd like. So put it on there.
Okay.
Well, then I would go ahead and probably put it on the
That would be
25th.
any contracts though that we need to be.
Is she gonna be here on the 25th?
Are you gonna
Just make
be here on the
sure
25th?
There's no sense.
I can. It's
What are you?
I'm probably gonna be scheduling at least two.
Well, let's do it on the
disciplinary
first.
hearings
Let's do it on the first.
25th.
Let's do it on the first then.
She would be here for the 25th, she might have to come on the 21st.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Or on the first, I mean.
That's
She would
fine.
be here, she's gonna have to be here for the disciplinary referrals on the 25th. But wouldn't necessarily be here on the first, so might put your meeting in.
So what's on the 25th
I'm
besides?
gonna be, probably be scheduling two disciplinary hearings.
Okay.
Three, possibly three. For sure, two.
Yeah, we have student achievement reports.
That's all that's on there right now.
And then board self-evaluations on the first.
So, October 25th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we got a motion to adjourn yet? Do we have one of those?
Sorry, I didn't mean to mess that up.
That's all right. Do we have one?
You did. Yes, Gordy.
You
I
made it.
made a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion by Ms. Richards, second.
Second.
Mr. Pardo, all those in favor say aye.
I hear that. I hear that.
Adjourned at 9:35 p.m.
They did on the-